welcome to the stadium at BC Place in Vancouver, where tonight we've got the Calgary Stampeders and the British Columbia Lions on the Foster's CFL Game of the Week on TSN. Hi again, everybody. Peter Watts, John Wells, and Leif Pedersen with you. We're looking forward to a good football game tonight between two teams who are looking for their first victories of the season. That is a surprise, particularly in the case of the BC Lions. But let's talk first of all about Calgary. What a nightmare it's been for Larry Kuharich and the training staff. Pat Clayton, the athletic therapist, has been the hardest worker on the Calgary staff this year. 8 of the 24 projected starters when training camp ended are currently disabled and out of the lineup. And that includes both starting quarterbacks, Eric Kramer and Terrence Jones, who may be ready to play next week, Jones at least. The British Columbia Lions simply haven't played well for 60 minutes on both sides of the football. But they have got all the tools, and Larry Donovan says it is time to stop fooling around and play some football. Maybe they'll be able to do that for their fans here tonight. It's the Lions and the Stampeders from the BC Place Stadium in Vancouver. Stay with us. We'll have more right after this. Though, to look at a couple of roster changes, and there are a bunch of them for these two teams. Let's go upstairs. Here's John Wells and Leif Pedersen.
Peter, this is the battle for last in the Western Division. Both teams at 0 for 2, but fans in both cities feel that their teams could have won at least one of the preceding games this year.
Well, John, certainly the Calgary Stampeders could be 1-1. Of course, they lost a heartbreaker in their opener in Saskatchewan.
Terrific guy, great quarterback, and he's got some pretty big numbers up, statistically speaking, in spite of the fact that he has yet to win in '89.
You know, they lead the league in the most offensive categories. Matt coming in with a phenomenal 65% completion rate after 2 games in 1989. 3 interceptions, 4 touchdowns, and he would like nothing better to get that first win tonight. Danny Barrett, on the other hand, he is in the same boat. The Calgary Stampeders are struggling, and they too are looking for their first victory.
Underway in Vancouver. This is Hopkins on the return for the Calgary Stampeders. He gets to the outside and was 1 tackle away from coming up with a little larger gain on the opening kickoff return. Rick Ryan made the stop, a 21-yard return. Stampeders good field position for the first sequence under the direction of Danny Barrett. Offensively for the Stampeders, Barrett has 2 pretty good wide receivers outside with Stacy Dossie, a newcomer, and the veteran Larry Willis inside, Brock Smith and Marshall Toner. And the running backs will be Tim Petros and James Townsend. Up front, Mike Palumbo. At center, Tom Spallettini and Dan Ferroni, the guards. Leo Blanchard and Craig Watson are the tackles. A penalty on the kickoff. Holding against Calgary has forced the Stampeders back to the 32 for this opening sequence. And clear through to make the tackle on Jamie Townsend.
John, we talked about the Calgary offense and having great difficulty running the football. Newcomer Jamie Townsend in his first game, and they're going to have a tremendously difficult time running against the defense of the BC Lions. Very tough up front, a veteran group, Walter Ballard, Rick Klassen, of course, making the move over from the Saskatchewan Roughriders. But a good group. Bernie Glear getting the start tonight. Kevin Konar has a sprained ankle, but could see some action later on.
2nd and 10, Calgary as Barrett airs it out, intended on the far side for Brock Smith, the inside receiver.
John, we talked about the Calgary offensive line and how imperative it was for them to give Danny Barrett some time to throw the football already on that first pass play. He took a tremendous shot from James Parker. And, you know, the real problem for the Stampeders, you know, offensively, they've been so sporadic. The first game, not bad. Last week, horrible. But that keeps the defense on the field so long that the defense is really struggling. I mean, these guys just get tired out by the 4th quarter.
First kick of the night for Brent Maddock. He's been kicking well for Calgary. Gets this one down near the 40. And on the return is Darrell Wallace, number 25. Billy Bob Hebert in on the tackle, and here's Matthew Dunnigan, the BC offense.
And what a group he has to work with. We told you earlier Anthony Parker is out of the lineup tonight, replaced by Wes Cooper, but the receiving core is awesome, led by, of course, Shenley, winner last year, David Williams, who's off to a great start with 18 catches in 2 games.
First down for the Lions at the 41. This is Cherry. And there's no room to the outside. Good coverage by the Stampeders, led by Ron Hopkins and Ulysses Thurman. They call him Ulysses.
Well, we'll call him Junior, because that's what the rest of the teammates call him. Junior Durman Thurman rather, and the Calgary defense has made some changes this week. Joe March moves in at that defensive end spot, and they have struggled, of course, giving up a lot of yardage both from the ground and the air, and I think the fact really is that they're on the field far too much causes those problems. The newcomers in the secondary, Junior Thurman and, of course, Howard Fields.
Dunnigan on second. And Andrew Murray can't hang on.
Andrew Murray in his second year from Carleton University. Last season, 36 catches for him. He's turned into a pretty dependable slot back. 4th-round pick in 1987 for the BC Lions. Didn't make the team initially, went back to school for a year, got his degree, and came back the next year and cracked the lineup.
The cheer for Lou Pasaglia, averaging 43.9 on the season so far. Angling for the sidelines, this is Stacy Dossie, and he has no play on the return, so Pasaglia got the job done. The Calgary Stampeders will have a first down when we return. No scoring so far in the opening quarter. We're at the stadium at BC Place. Second offensive sequence for the Calgary Stampeders. They'll begin near the 30-yard line.
John, of course, we don't know the offensive game plan for the Stampeders tonight, but I would think that Danny Barrett is the kind of quarterback you'd like to see him go to the rollout. And, of course, if he doesn't have a receiver open, I think he's going to have to do a lot of running tonight to try and generate some offense. Larry Kuharich has been a pretty patient man, Dan Ferroni was telling me. You know, we've known Larry in the past to get the blood pressure at some pretty high levels, but he said after that horrendous loss to Edmonton, he was pretty calm and collected, and they had a good week of practice. In fact, didn't wear the pads in practice all week. He was pretty easy on the guys.
This is the week he could be a little impatient or at least frustrated. He has 8 starters on the 60-day injury list, so it has not been a smooth start or transition from training camp into this season for the Calgary Stampeders. It is tough to replace that many bodies, and he's had to replace about 4 for this week.
There he has, you know, the quarterbacking situation in training camp. Eric Kramer and Terrence Jones, they were penciled in as the 2 starters, and of course they're not here. Lamont Jeffers now out for the year with a torn Achilles, and he was having a tremendous season. Although it was early, he was playing exceptionally well.
1st and 10, Stampeders at the 33. Danny Barrett at the controls. Barrett looks to the far side, has his man Brock Smith, and Smith is close to a first down, out of bounds about a yard short. Anthony Drawhorn, number 4, was over-covering on this man, Brock Smith.
Well, that's a smart call on first down by Danny Barrett. Just a quick out to the inside receiver. Brock Smith is a little jitterbug kind of guy, 5'9", about 170 pounds, small, but quick to the outside. They cut his own coverage. Perfect defense to run that pass play against, and that's a good pickup on first down. 2nd and short, he can do pretty much anything he wants here.
It is 2nd and 1. Stampeders out just across the 40. Barrett keeps himself, has the first down, no flags down. So the Stampeders have the first down of this night at BC Place Stadium. No score so far.
You know, it's Danny Barrett now, his 3rd start, and already, of course, you see 43 attempts on the season. Well, that's more passes than he threw all last year with the Toronto Argonauts. So, in all fairness to Danny Barrett, he has to have a few games to try and get himself back into a groove, and maybe tonight's the night that they will emerge with a better offensive performance.
1st and 10, Calgary at the 44. Barrett has time to run and should have the first down as he crosses midfield. Keith Gooch and Larry Crawford stopping Danny Barrett's a gain of 12.
Well, this is what I suggested earlier might happen tonight, is Danny Barrett taking charge himself and running downfield. He's an excellent runner. In fact, a former slot back with the Stampeders. He knows what to do when he tucks that ball under his arm, and you know, they picked up a couple of first downs back-to-back and got a nice drive going.
Just inside BC territory at the 54 with a first down, Calgary. Barrett hands off this time to the newcomer Townsend, and Townsend can't find much running room. Big charge by the BC defense. Alondra Johnson, number 44 from West Texas State.
I can't believe how fast both James Parker and Walter Ballard were in the backfield. I mean, you're pulling guards to try and get around the corner, and the defensive front 4, watch them come through the openings. Walter Ballard crashes down from his defensive end, although he doesn't make the play. Absolutely destroys all the blocking early, and no room for Jamie Townsend.
A loss of 1. Barrett, time to throw over the middle. Larry Willis should have had the catch.
I think that's all that has to be said about that one. Larry knows it. He's usually pretty reliable. One of the more exciting receivers in Canadian Football League, and definitely one he would like to have over.
Willis has a 39-game pass-catching streak going.
You see, as he left the field, he was looking up at the scoreboard. They have a replay, the scoreboard here, of course, at BC Place. And if I was Larry, I wouldn't have watched that one again.
But he's going to see it in the film room tomorrow morning. Brent Maddich with one man deep for the BC Lions. Brent Maddich, time count violation.
Time count violation. Calgary number 4, third down repeater.
I don't know why they take that. They had 12 men on the field. Possibly a front that BC was in they didn't like.
Low snap. Maddich will have trouble getting this one away, and he can't get it away. Smothered by 4 BC Lions led by Rick Ryan. A flag down, so hang on for 1 second. That one scooted along the ground. Maybe the Stampeders get an early break here. So there's a procedure call and holding.
Procedure, Calgary. Holding 61 BC will be third down repeater.
So the Stamps are right back where they started.
Well, that is a nice break, though. A good trade-off.
This time Maddich booms it down near the 20. Flag is down, no yards. A 33-yard kick, so not a good one for Maddich that time.
No yards, Calgary 86, first down.
It's Billy Bob Hebert, number 86. I guess he hasn't been schooled completely in the rules of Canadian football.
Larry Donovan a little frustrated yesterday in our meeting with him. You know, the team has played well enough to be 2-0, but yet still struggling looking for the first victory.
Anthony Cherry looking for yardage, and he can't come up with much. He loses. Ron Hopkins led the pursuit that time for the Stampeders, and Cherry's success this season continues to be well, a little less than what he'd like, because he came into the game rushing for less than 2 yards a carry.
People don't realize how important Anthony Parker is to this offense. He is out tonight, and he does such an excellent job at lead blocking for Tony Cherry. They're going to miss that. I don't know if Wes Cooper can handle the job.
Dunnigan is in trouble. He escapes. Time to throw on the run over the middle. Short of the first down, but close enough. As Andrew Murray pulls it in, Ken Ford made the stop.
Pretty good protection initially, but receivers not open downfield. Matt Dunnigan, of course, so elusive in the open field when he's running with it. Very dangerous when he throws. Andrew Murray does a good job to find an open spot. Unfortunately, he comes up about 1.5 yards short. Larry Donovan not in the gambling mood here in the first quarter, and they'll kick it away.
Come on, old fuck!
Lou Pasaglia standing back at his 32. That's Howard Fields, the former Tiger Cat, waiting for it back at the Stampeder 20. Gets a bad bounce as far as Fields and the Stampeders are concerned. Lions upfield with good pursuit, and the Stampeders have to begin near the 15. Leading the tacklers that time, number 76, Scott Leach. A 52-yard boomer for Lou Pasaglia. Still no scoring in the opening quarter at BC Place. Well, the BC Lion cheerleaders have not much to cheer about so far. The Lions and the Calgary Stampeders have zeros on the scoreboard. with 8:02 left in the opening quarter. Stampeder football is Barrett, who moved them rather well last time and didn't come up with any points, but he managed to get Calgary some good field position until they lost it on the exchange of punts. Larry Donovan.
You know, as we travel around the league, John, the word on the Calgary Stampeders is that they are really one of the most physical teams in the league, but really a Jekyll and Hyde kind of team. Larry Donovan said he doesn't know which team he'll get this week. So far, they played pretty well in the first quarter.
1st and 10, Stampeders from the 15. Tough running inside for Tim Petros. Stopped by James Quick Parker. Donovan was telling me that Parker's at about 93% of his efficiency. Coming back from a very tough injury. He missed most of last season, played just one game.
Brock Smith, the newcomer from Fresno State, going one-on-one with Larry Crawford, the veteran of 9 years in the defensive backfield for the BC Lions, trying to do a little blocking downfield. And Larry said, "Don't you try and chop my knees or I'm going to smack you in the head." And that's what he did.
Tim Petros gained 2. Barrett will throw on 2nd down. And misconnected with Larry Willis once more.
Boy, that's what pressure will do to a quarterback. Danny Barrett had lots of time to throw that football, but he just let it go too early. I mean, he was a little edgy back in the pocket. Larry Willis ran a good pattern, was coming into the open seam, but watch Barrett, he just floats that thing a little too early, and when you get hit early in a game, sometimes that can shake your confidence a little bit.
Brent Manich. Darrell Wallace. Wallace at the 50. Good pursuit by the Stampeders. Wallace grabs a couple of yards and gets out to the 52. Stopped by Jim Yock out of North Carolina, famous name in Canadian football. His father Ray was a coach in Edmonton, Winnipeg.
Ended up in the Arena Football League. Ray Yock was coaching down there. Well, in the first 2 series, Matt Dunnigan has run the ball on 1st down, has got absolutely nothing. I would expect to see him start to put it up a little more often. I mean, it's simple. If we can't get the running game going, I'm going to have to generate it through the air.
And he did that last week in a losing cause against Saskatchewan. Dunnigan escapes, fired for Cherry. He couldn't hang on. Pass was just a little behind Cherry as Dunnigan had to unload in a hurry. Lions lead the CFL in passing yardage with 672 yards in 2 games. 2nd and 10. Dunnigan, time to throw this time. Look for Williams. They messed up that one, Lee.
I think so. You know, David Williams running against Chris Major, that's a good matchup. Chris Major, of course, tied last year with the league lead in 10 interceptions. He's a good guy one-on-one. Dunnigan a little upset. Felt David Williams should have taken it upfield. And usually those two have just tremendous chemistry, and they don't look too happy with each other, do they? As they leave the field there.
Not talking right now.
Well, I think, Matt, the entire team feel the heat. You know, they're a team that's 0-2 that everybody figures they should be 2-0. So, and things are not getting off to a good start tonight.
Pasaglia angles it out, and Dossie has no play once more.
Wow, what a great job Lou Pasaglia does on that kicking. You know, 44-yard average coming into this game. 14 years. The veteran from Simon Fraser University also completed 1 pass this year. Of course, he was a former quarterback, so not surprising that he's 1 for 1 in the passing department.
Perfect. The only perfect passer in the league.
I would think he probably is.
Stampeders 1st down at the 20. No score, 0-0. Calgary Stampeders, BC Lions.
Once again, 2nd series in a row for lousy field position for Danny Barrett. He's got to be careful down here. This team only has 1 interception, the BC Lion defense, but you know they've got some ball hawks back there.
This is the newcomer Townsend once more, and he's back to the line of scrimmage. Marcus Thomas, number 29, made the stop.
Been with the team for 3 years, Marcus Thomas, but always on the practice roster or filling in when someone was hurt. But now, of course, with the departure of Andre Francis, Marcus Thomas is getting his chance. Actually, 10 tackles coming into tonight, 2nd on the team, and that's his 11th.
2nd and almost 10. Barrett will throw. Another drop pass. Townsend once more having a little difficulty, and Barrett paying for throwing at the last second.
Well, it's tough. You know, Danny Barrett's not taking a deep drop, 5-step, and let it go quickly, and it's tough when you're getting nailed on a short drop. Number 44, Alondra Johnson, the new middle linebacker, was in on the blitz to apply the hit to Danny Barrett. That Johnson, I'm telling you, he is quick. You're talking about a middle linebacker that returned punts and kickoffs in university at Western Texas State, so you know he's got some speed.
Brett Manage out near midfield. Darrell Wallace. As a flag goes down, Wallace crosses the 50. Billy Bob Hebert in there. Discussion continues with the referee Jacques DeCarry, but it is being marched off against the Calgary Stampeders.
4 yards, Calgary.
Timeout on the field. The Lions and the Stampeders still have the zeros up. Field position, hoping the BC Lions can move the football a little bit this time.
Jan Carinci felt he could have an excellent game tonight against Junior Thurman, the newcomer. It'd be interesting to see if Matt Dunnigan gets involved early in the first quarter. You know, receivers are funny. I talked to Jan and I said, you know, like I always used to like to get a ball early in the game to get me involved. And of course, Jan's no different. He said, boy, I like to get it at least by halfway through the first quarter. I don't feel like I'm a part of the offense. And of course, Matt has not completed too many passes yet in this first quarter.
From the 38, Dunnigan looks to the end zone for Streeter. Tight coverage on Streeter, and the pass was well off target. Dunnigan hits the turf.
BC Lions are really blessed with two deep threats on both sides with Eric Streeter and, of course, David Williams. Eric Streeter's been with the club now for a couple of years from North Carolina, and he has got some jets. Larry must be really frustrated. I mean, you know, you look at this team on paper, and I mean, they have got some guns. They just cannot seem to click.
He feels he's got a pretty good football team, and as you say, on paper it is, but so far tonight the Lions have not moved the ball effectively. Dunnigan has completed 1 of 5 passes for 11 yards. He's in trouble once more. Maybe it'll open up on the far side. Dunnigan looks to the end zone. Somebody's down there. The Lions on the board. A 38-yard touchdown pass to David Williams.
Well, Matt Dunnigan does just a tremendous amount of running to get this ball off. You know, pretty good pressure from Joe March and the rest of the Calgary defensive front four initially, but boy, oh boy, when Matt gets in the open field, he is dangerous. And I honestly believe he was throwing to number 24, Tony Cherry, but he fell down, and David Williams just goes over the top, makes a super catch. Pretty easy for him. 4th touchdown of the year. He makes it look easy, doesn't he, John?
He's a great receiver, a Shenley winner. Slightly shaken up, scoring the touchdown, but he's all right on the sidelines. Number 1 in the CFL in total yards, 257 coming into tonight's game. And that, as Leaf said, his 4th touchdown.
Well, you know, he had 18 touchdowns last year. He's already got 4 in 3 games, so he's well on pace to at least equal that mark or do a little better this year.
Lou Bisaglia makes it 7-0 for the Lions. Something to cheer about at BC Place. It took just 2 plays to cover 38 yards in less than a minute to get the touchdown. David Williams from Matt Dunnigan.
Well, the one advantage that David Williams really has is he's 6'4" tall, and plus he's a good leaper, and you know, he just out-jumped everybody in the end zone for that. I honestly think he was throwing to Tony Cherry, but Williams cut in front and made a super play. See, he said, yeah, Tony was supposed to get it, but I needed the touchdown more than him, so I took it away from him.
7-0 Lions leading the Calgary Stampeders. 3:31 remaining in the opening quarter. It was BC's first down. The touchdown play. This is Ron Hopkins on the return for Calgary. Finds a little seam. Good return as Hopkins approaches the 45. Scott Leach, the tackle for British Columbia.
Ronnie Hopkins with that tremendous kickoff return for a touchdown in the opening game of the season against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. In terms of service to the club, he has been with the team the longest of any active player on the roster. Always game in and game out, a great effort on the corner and of course on the special teams.
Stampeders with decent field position to begin this drive. First down. Barrett to the far side, and he's picked off. This is Marcus Thomas. The intended receiver was number 85, Brock Smith. Thomas floated back and has his first interception of the year.
And only the second team interception for the BC Lions, and you know, they're just waiting to break out in that department, and he made just an unbelievable play. You know, he was covering Larry Willis on an out pattern, but he sensed that they were going deep to Brock Smith. He left his receiver and picked off the interception. Nice job.
First down.
Have a look here. Brock Smith running a post corner pattern on Anthony Drawhorn, the inside receiver. Drawhorn has good position, but Marcus Thomas sloughs off his coverage on Larry Willis and makes a pretty easy catch there for his second of the interception this season. He has both of them for the BC Lions.
A legal block on the return, so the Lions begin with a first down at the 39. Good fake by Dunnigan. Wesley Cooper.
Oh,
His first carry. That's his first carry of the season.
Second year with the BC Lions. He's replacing, of course, Anthony Parker tonight. 5'10", 200 pounds from Weber State.
Cherry that time.
He made a great play, Marcus Thomas did on that interception. All right, Wellesley, a little quiz for you. Weber State, Wes Cooper from Weber State. Who, and I've done this to you before, and I know you'll get it wrong, who was the Saskatchewan Roughriders from Weber State in the mid-70s?
Mid-70s from Weber State.
Defensive back. I'll
Defensive
even give
back.
you that.
Ted Provost.
No, Ohio State.
Close to a first down for Cooper. Tackle made by Ron Hopkins, and I surrender.
I'll give you a clue. His initials were Ken McEachran.
Ah, yes, you're right. Saw him in Regina when we were there.
That's right. Now there's Wes Cooper. If the linebackers drop off, Matt Dunnigan will throw it out to him quickly and let him try and pick up the first down. If the linebackers stay up, of course, Matt will then throw a little farther downfield, but a good read and close enough that they bring out the sticks.
Dunnigan's numbers improving. He had a great week last week. 32 of 44, 438 yards, and you lose the ball game. That's a tough way to lose. That was Dunnigan last week against Saskatchewan.
Of course, their defense, much like the Stampeders, in the fact that both teams have given up the big play, which has really cost them dearly in the first 2 games of the season. Larry Koharik's team, of course, gave up so many big plays late in the game against Saskatchewan when they scored 17 points with less than 2 minutes remaining to squeak that victory out.
Lions are gambling this time on 3rd and 1. Lots of room for Tony Cherry to come up with a first down. Ken Ford brought him down after a little second effort, got him to the first down.
That's a good initial block by number 25, Darrell Wallace, who comes in the short yardage situation, and Tony Cherry cuts in behind that block and picks up the first down on the third down gamble.
Lions with a first down inside the Calgary 50 now. Over the middle, Dunnigan has his man at the 40. Jan Carinci makes his first catch with 33 seconds left in the opening quarter.
One of the changes the Stampeders made was Vernell Quinn moved from the rush end to linebacker with the injury to Lamont Jeffers, and he gets his first taste in pass coverage as he had excellent coverage on Jan Carinci, but could not knock the ball out. Jan made a nice catch.
9-yard gain, 2nd and 1 for the Lions. Cherry once more hit behind the line of scrimmage, but he made it for the first down. Junior Thurman made the stop.
He's a tough little guy to bring down. You know, he's only 5'7", 185 pounds, but he's so low to the ground that unless you get underneath and cut his legs out from underneath him, he can bounce off you and go for an extra couple of yards just like he did on that play.
Close enough for a measurement on Cherry's last run. It is a first down for the BC Lions. Eugene Beliveau is the injured Calgary Stampeder. Beliveau playing in his 49th straight game and his 127th game in Canadian football. He's been around a little bit. Started out in Montreal. Before that, St. X. Stampeders already with some tough injury problems on the defensive line. Stu Laird has gone for a while. Kent Warnock is taking his spot tonight. Frank Balkovic will move onto the field, and they'll adjust up front. Well, Beliveau gets better.
I suspect he'll be back in. He's taken a little while to get off the field, but he doesn't look like he's in too bad a shape.
Should be the last play of the opening quarter. First down for the Lions, who lead the Calgary Stampeders 7-0. Dunnigan back in a hurry. Time to throw. Dunnigan on target. Balkovic made the stop. And that is the end of the opening quarter at BC Place. The BC Lions out in front of the Calgary Stampeders 7. About to begin the second quarter in our TSN Game of the Week. The BC Lions lead it on a Matt Dunnigan to David Williams 38-yard touchdown toss. It is 7-0 BC. Dunnigan on 2nd and 6 swings it out to Cherry. Cherry has the first down and steps out just inside the 30. Ken Ford over to force him out of bounds.
Well, Kenny Ford was an all-star in the Western Conference last year, but this is really a tough matchup. You know, let's swing past to Tony Cherry, and you are 1-on-1 with one of the toughest running backs in the league to bring down in the open field, and Kenny Ford cannot make the tackle, and the BC Lions once again pick up another first down.
1st and 10 Lions inside the 30 at the 29 now. Dunnigan for Cherry. Cherry has to reverse. A flag is down, and Cherry loses substantial yardage. Doug Landry, number 39, over to make the stop. Old teammate of Matt Dunnigan's back at Louisiana Tech.
Louisiana Tech, where Terry Bradshaw, of course, great NFL great quarterback, was the quarterback. Matt Dunnigan broke all his records, but that time, no room for Tony Cherry.
Decline, 2nd down.
Some kind of penalty called on Gerald Roper, holding. Matt, he is fearless as he tries to throw a block here. Oh, good thing I missed.
The blocking back.
Oh,
whoa, there's the hit.
Whoa!
Matthew.
I don't believe it.
2nd and 15 for Dunnigan now.
Goes in the highlight film.
Looks to the corner. Oh! Touchdown. It is 7-2. He did. Eric Streeter. Chris Major victimized there because he had his hands on the ball and tipped it up. right into the hands of Eric Streeter. Streeter got to the end zone, but they rule him out at the 2. 32 yards here. Tough break for the Stamps because he was well covered.
I'll tell you, if it weren't for bad luck, the Stampeders would have no luck at all. Chris Major tips it, knocked in. How about Eric Streeter now? When he caught that, was he out of bounds or what? Let's have another look at this. Tip hits the head of Howard Fields.
Whoa, hang on.
And I think that one should be coming back.
Streeter was tiptoeing down the sideline, and it looks, at least from that angle, as though he might have been out of bounds when he grabbed that one.
Well, let's have one more peek at this one. Bang off the head of Howard Fields. Watch the left foot, right foot. Yeah, I think he was out of bounds. I think
it's still tough from this angle this far away, Leaf, but awfully close. But you're saying definitely out.
I got the good eyes from here, and I say he was out. Boy, oh boy, if you're the Calgary Stampeders, I mean, you don't need a bad break like that or a bad call. Hopefully, Chris Major will not be injured too badly. He is one of the best one-on-one guys in the league.
Look where the BC Lions are. Down at the 2-yard line of Larry Kuharek's Calgary Stampeders.
Well, you have to feel sorry for Larry Kuharek. The game opener of the season in Regina slipped away from his team. Last week was a write-off, but you know, trying to regroup tonight, a bad break.
Numbers on Matt Dunnigan, good on 7 of 11 tosses, 102 yards. 6 straight completions. He has used 6 different receivers. The Lions threaten to add to a 7-0 lead here with the first and goal to go from the 2. No running room that time for Darrell Wallace, as Tank Landry got through to make the stop, number 39. He lost a yard.
Well, Tank Landry active as always in the middle for the Calgary Stampeders, the league leader in tackles, and of course he demonstrates why he is the league leader, and he does a great job.
Lions get another crack from the 3 on 2nd down. This time, not quite down to the 1.
Well, what a great hit by Ken Ford to keep him out of the end zone. Lost his helmet and everything, but super job. So Larry Donovan has a decision to make.
The running game has not been going well for Donovan and the BC Lions. So what do you do at this point?
Well, I think you go for it, try and stuff it in there, but tremendous hit on Darrell Wallace by Kenny Ford, and a little help from the Tank as well. No, I think when you have a team like Calgary that's struggling, I think you try and put them out of their misery early if you can, and a 14-0 lead would be nice.
3rd and goal. And it looks like they've been stopped. That's the indication by the Calgary Stampeders, but a flag is down. Darrell Wallace got the call once more, and Landry was in the backfield. We'll see the call, but you see some frustration on the face of Larry Donovan. Automatic first down for the Stampeders.
Now you talk about breaks. Okay, the ball hits Fields in the head. Streeter makes the catch. He's out of bounds. They get a big play.
So you get 6 tries.
Yeah,
Two,
now,
from inside the 2.
Okay, there's 1. Now you stop them 3rd and goal at the 1 and you're offside. I mean, Larry will not be a happy camper.
Donovan into the end zone. He has the touchdown. Donovan kept it himself. A nice outfit.
Pretty simple. Follow the left side of that offensive line behind Big Jim Mills and Gerald Roper, and after a couple of tremendous breaks for the BC Lions, Matt Dunnigan caps it off with a touchdown, and the BC Lions, after Luis Pasaglia's convert, which he never misses, will go ahead 14-0.
Absolutely right. It is 14-0 for the Lions, leading the Calgary Stampeders at BC Place. 12:04 to play till halftime. Stampeders by 2 touchdowns at 14-0. Matt Dunnigan added the second touchdown himself on a 1-yard plunge, a 73-yard drive in 12 plays, and it took 5 minutes 56 seconds for the Lions to get to the end zone. But they got a little bit of a break.
Well, now, do you think he was out of bounds? Or?
Well, I'll agree with you there.
Okay.
I'll agree.
Eric Streeter was out of bounds. Calgary Stampeders got jobbed, cost him 7 points.
All right.
Got to tell it like it is, Wellesley. He was out of bounds. Matt, you got a break?
I think you're right. Numbers from the opening quarter. BC Lions with 78 total yards compared to 25 for the Stampeders. Time of possession favors Calgary. The scoreboard favors the BC Lions by 14 points. Lou Pusaglia. This is Townsend on the return.
Well, the Calgary Stampeders do a great job on their kickoff return team. Nice run by Jamie Townsend. Of course, you know what Ronnie Hopkins can do. He's, of course, one of the best in the league. And they give Danny Barrett some nice field position to start this drive. Jamie Townsend in his first year from Eastern Washington, 5'10", 185. Pretty good speed. Better runner than receiver out of the backfield.
And he cracks into the Stampeder lineup with an injury to Sean Faulkner. Stamps first down at the 49. See what Barrett can do here. Lions are coming. Barrett dumps it off. This is Tim Petros. Petros has running room. Good head of steam for Petros as he closes in on first down territory near the 50.
That's a great call by Danny Barrett. You know, he's been getting a lot of pressure early in the ball game so far. So let those guys come in and dump it off to Tim Petros. And this is a well set up screen. Nice job. Gets the big boys out in front. Mike Palumbo, the center, got a pretty good block. Nice yardage, 2nd and short.
They make it 2nd and 1. This is Townsend. He has the first down. Good run by Townsend as he cracks inside the 40. Stopped by Anthony Drawhorn. Nice 12-yard gain. Coming at a perfect time for the Calgary Stampeders.
A good cut by Jamie Townsend and a lead block from Petros. Kicks out the linebacker Bernie Gleer, and Townsend cuts it back up the middle. And Calgary, of course, really at this point trailing 14-0, would love to answer that last touchdown with one of their own.
Stampeders with a first down at the 40. Townsend once more. James Quick Parker on the stop. Gain of 4. Jamie Townsend caught 2 passes in his pro debut in the CFL last week. 2nd and 6 facing Barrett with an near side for Smith. Marcus Thomas made the stop. There is a flag down. Brock Smith the reception. Might have been a little face masking in there, Leaf.
Well, that's the indication from referee Jacques Decarie that Marcus Thomas not only came up and made a good hit, but he grabbed the face mask as well here.
BC 29, first down.
Well, the Calgary Stampeders finally get a break. They haven't had one yet today, and Brock Smith would have been short of the first down, but Marcus Thomas gets the hand up there, and that's an excellent call. You can see it clearly on the face mask of Brock Smith, and Stampeders get a first down courtesy of that penalty.
And look where the Calgary Stampeders are now at the BC 17. They have marched well. The penalty certainly helps. First down, Calgary. Barrett, better time this time. Willis has the catch, and he's into the end zone. No, he's not. He's forced back out. There's a flag down. Now, I thought he was in the end zone. We'll show you once more. Tempers flaring out there. They call him at the 1. Will be another first down for the Stampeders.
Face mask, BC, number 8, first down.
Rick Ryan caught that time.
Well, they run a bit of an under pattern with Larry Willis. Brock Smith goes out, a little bit of a pick, and then Larry Willis is wide open underneath.
Good block by Brock Smith.
And
I guess they did hold him out. Stopped him at the 1.
And the face mask penalty by Rick Ryan really doesn't make any difference because it stays at the 1-yard line. There he comes underneath. Now, Brock Smith had taken both Keith Gooch and Larry Crawford with him. Some pretty good room for Larry Willis to maneuver, and the strength of Alondra Johnson keeps him from going into the end zone.
Difficult to pick out the number on the injured Calgary Stampeder. It is Willis, I believe now.
I believe it is Larry Willis. Larry Koharek really knows how important that this drive is. You know, you've had kind of a lousy touchdown scored against you, and if you could come back and answer quickly, it gives your entire team a huge lift. Larry Willis made a big play to get it down to the 1-yard line, and hopefully he will not be hurt too seriously, and Pat Clayton can get him back into the lineup quickly. It looks like he's got some kind of a finger injury, and of course, that's probably the toughest injury to have as a wide receiver.
Larry Kuharek needs a break. So do his Stampeders. They get 3 shots from the 1, starting right now. BC leading 14-0. 9:15 to play till halftime. Barrett keeps himself. Touchdown. Flag in the end zone.
Offside, BC 76, declined, touchdown stands.
Kuharek is a little happier. Here's Barrett's TD.
Well, he follows Dan Ferroni, the 9-year veteran from Simon Fraser, into the end zone, and that's a tremendous drive for the Calgary Stampeders. All started with a good kickoff return by Jamie Townsend, gave them great field position, and Danny Barrett directed the drive in and finished it off himself.
Mark McLaughlin adds the extra points. So there's 1 touchdown separating the Stampeders and the BC Lions with 9:08 to play till halftime. Ace wide receiver Larry Willis heads to the dressing room to get some medical attention. He injured his hand making the catch that got the Calgary Stampeders down to the 1-yard line. Mark McLaughlin ready to kick off for the Calgary Stampeders. Anthony Drawhorn and Darrell Wallace deep for the Lions. 14-7, BC in the lead.
When you're ready.
Both teams looking for their initial victory of 1989.
Well, I'm sure that was a tremendous confidence booster for Danny Barrett and the entire offense of the Stampeders. Of course, struggling here in the first half tonight, but that drive gets them back in, tighten the game right up.
Blood pressure boiling over a little bit. This is Darrell Wallace on the return. Room to the wide side of the field. Forced out by Darcy Kopp. Good special teams player for the Stamps. Good return for the BC Lions.
Well,
27 yards.
Sorry, John. A good kickoff return got the Stampeders back in this game, and now the BC Lions answer with a tremendous kickoff return by Darrell Wallace himself. And there's Darcy Kopp, one of the better special team players in the league, and he finally will make the tackle on Wallace on the sidelines.
Kopp read it very well, didn't he? 1st and 10 Lions. Dunnigan quickly. Morency was hit by Ford as he was trying to juggle it.
And Ford says, don't come into my area again. You know, that's a tough pass for Matt Dunnigan to try and complete. I mean, that high floater to Jan Morency over the middle, I mean, you can get hurt. There's the scoring drive. the Calgary Stampeders. 61 yards, 6 plays, capped off by the Danny Barrett quarterback sneak into the end zone.
2nd and 10 for Dunnigan. Time to throw. Looks over the middle. Man open. Carinci makes the catch. Decked almost immediately by Greg Peterson, the Stampeders safety.
Well, on 2nd and long, the Calgary Stampeders are content to sit back in a deep zone coverage. The middle comes wide open, but great protection for Matt Dunnigan. Little half roll, and Jan Carinci wide open over the middle, 24 yards downfield. He just gets in between the deep defensive back, Greg Peterson in that case, and of course in behind Kenny Ford, the linebacker.
On 1st and 10, this is Cherry. He's close to another first down inside the 30. Peterson again, number 24, made the stop. Cherry still down.
And a good close look at Tank Landry, the league leader in tackles, and he does have a complaint. The right guard, Jamie Buis, definitely grabbed the sweater, and one thing about Tank, he will not hide his emotions. He not only let Buis know, he let the official know. In fact, I think he got such a good grab, he ripped the D off Landry's sweater, and now he's only Tank Lanny.
Cherry does get a first down. He's off under his own power. He'll be back. Lions now inside the 30 of the Calgary Stampeders. 7:29 till halftime. Mitchell Price made the stop. Jamie Terrace in relief of Cherry at his first carry.
Jamie Terrace, both a slot back and a fullback rather. Vernell Quinn, who has moved back to that rush end position now.
On 2nd down and long, Dunnigan looks to the end zone for Carinci. Carinci goes down. No flags. Williams was in the area as well. Junior Thurman was covering for Calgary.
Well, the officials felt that their feet just got tangled up. Let's have a look at it. We're going to see a good angle here. Number 2, Thurman, and there's no question, no interference on that play. Jan Carinci trips over his own feet, actually, and has no beef.
Calgary number 16, first down.
Well, they're not calling it on that particular play. They're calling it on Howard Fields across the field. He must have done something to Andrew Murray, the inside receiver on that side, but no interference in the end zone. So the BC Lions get another break with a penalty.
First down at the 15, Dunnigan. For Streeter, and a flag down once more. You hated that call, didn't you?
Well, I want to see this one again, but initially, boy, it looked like Chris Major just read the underneath pattern and broke so quickly on the football.
Forward pass interference, Calgary number 20, first down.
So we're going to have a look at him. Watch as he breaks under. I don't know. Of course, I'm an old receiver. I don't know.
Backing down a little bit, Petters.
Wow. Boy, that's close.
1st and goal to go, Lions from the 10. Dunnigan gets pressure now, looks to the end zone for Williams. Double coverage down there. Major was there, number 20. And so is Howard Fields, 16.
You know, that Chris Major really is tough one-on-one. He had a great year last year in 1988, and he's come back in 1989, and he looks even better. Williams is so tough in these situations. See the leaping ability, but Chris Major, who is a much shorter player, is able to go up and grab the arm of Williams, and that's super defense.
2nd and goal to go for the Lions from the 10.
There's a pretty good concentration on Major, too. He just had a kind of a questionable call against him, but he comes back and makes a big play.
Dunnigan, end zone once more. Williams can't make the catch. Hopkins was with him. So it is 3rd and goal, and they'll send on Lou Pasaglia.
Well, the corners for the Calgary Stampeders really doing a super job here in the 2nd quarter. Ronnie Hopkins, you cannot make a better play on defense than he made right there. Got the hand in, knocked the ball away from Williams when it appeared as though he was going to catch the touchdown. Good throw by Dunnigan. Everything perfect. Hopkins makes a great play.
Pasaglia from the 17. For the BC Lion lead. Calgary Stampeders defense bends a little, but it doesn't break all the way as they hold the Lions out of the end zone with a 1st and goal to go from the 10. Lions continue to lead. We'll be back. They have cheered their Lions into a 17-7 lead on the Calgary Stampeders with 5:41 to go till halftime. Our TSN game of the week. Week 4 next week will be in Winnipeg for the Saskatchewan Roughriders against Mike Riley's Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Tim Jesse with a super night last night. What did he have? 175 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, 199, I'm told by producer Gord Cutler.
Big night.
James Murphy came back after a horrible game at Hamilton. He had himself a good night. A lot of firepower on that Blue Bomber team. That should be a good game next week. Saskatchewan Roughriders, they always play well when they visit Winnipeg.
Tomorrow on the CFL, Edmonton at Toronto. And Friday, 2 unbeaten teams in Saskatchewan. The Ticats and the Roughriders both at 2-0. Stacey Dossey keeps it in this time. Dossey slipped at the 36, slid out to the 40, pinned there by Rob Moretto.
He better sharpen those skates a little bit because he made the plant and went right down.
Had a kick return touchdown against Saskatchewan on opening week.
Punt return, yep. You know, he had a lot of room. If he doesn't fall there, you never know.
First down for the Stampeders, just shy of the 40-yard line. They trail 17-7. Barrett to the sidelines, almost picked off. Marcus Thomas in front of Brock Smith.
Well, John, we are really seeing some tremendous play by the cornerbacks on both teams tonight. On the last drive, of course, Chris Major and Ronnie Hopkins with big plays for the Stamps, and now Marcus Thomas with a knockdown. He already has 1 interception on the evening, and boy, the defensive corners are having some kind of night.
He had that one counted for 6 points, didn't he? Still angry he couldn't hang on. 2nd and 10, Calgary. Nowhere to go for Jamie Townsend. Number 76, Scott Leach made the stop. Leach out of Ohio State.
We talked about Scott Leach in the opening, that he is in replacing Greg Stuman, of course, and a couple of years in the NFL with some experience, so he's not a newcomer, of course, to professional football. Made a nice play there.
Tried his luck with the Saints and the Bills in 1988. Matic, his best of the night, I think, down near the 20. Darrell Wallace on the return, stopped by Darcy Kopp once more.
Darcy Kopp, the injured Calgary Stampeders, on the play.
Replacing Stuman and Braswell. Scott Leach and Alondra Johnson. It'll be the topic of our discussions and halftime features. Peter Watts, 4:30 till the half. Darcy Kopp being attended to by Pat Clayton and the medical staff of the Calgary Stampeders. Look at Tank's shoes.
Well, see,
Got his name written on them.
He's got his name on there, so he knows they're his shoes. Never lose them. You put your name on your shoes. Some guys write their number on the back. Tank puts his name on them.
Some guys write R and L. Yeah. Right and left.
Well, I know you've got that on yours.
Darcy looks like he'll be okay. Larry Donovan is hoping he will be okay. There is a little bit of pressure being created by some members of the media on Mr. Donovan after the Lions' 0 for 2 starts. I think he's safe for a while, don't you?
I would think so. His record's been pretty good since he took over.
First down, Lions Dunnigan. Releases for Cherry. Cherry has nowhere to go. Former Tiger Cat Mitchell Price finally got him. Kenny Stamps had a shot at him.
Yeah, Kenny Ford, number 97, who has been such an outstanding linebacker for the Stampeders, Western All-Star, of course, last year. He makes the play. He doesn't let Cherry get to the outside. And then, of course, number 74, Mitchell Price, slides over in the defensive tackle spot. And in addition, he has been, the pass rush has been a sore spot for the Stampeders, but Mitchell Price has helped in that area.
2nd and 11. Dunnigan to the near side. Andrew Murray, number 33, covered closely by Thurman. Flag down back at the line. Procedure call against the BC Lions, it would appear.
Procedure, BC number 2, decline, 3rd down.
Nice job by junior Thurman, number 2. In his 2nd game with the Calgary Stampeders, of course, a famous brother, Dennis Thurman, who played for so many years with the Dallas Cowboys, but he showed some great speed in closing the distance there to make that play, to knock the ball away and not allow Andrew Murray to make the catch. A couple of famous brothers in this game. Billy Bob Hebert, also for the Calgary Stampeders. His brother Bobby Hebert, of course, the quarterback with the New Orleans Saints.
Stacey Dossie on the kick return. Slithered through and hopes he'll get a spot about the 40. Alondra Johnson, number 44, the new Lion middle linebacker, finally pinned him.
Stacey Dossie, he is tough. You know, he had that punt return for the touchdown in the opening game against Saskatchewan. In fact, in that game, he had 160 yards in punt returns that night, which was a team record. So anytime he touches the football, you know he has a chance to go the distance. What
Fancy
a move.
shoes.
Oh, that's a great move there. Now, can he be a great wide receiver, too? This is the question. I mean, they need his production on offense as well.
Stamps first down. From the 40, Barrett. Intended it for Marshall Toner, number 76. Anthony Drawhorn, number 4, covering on Toner. 3 minutes to play in the opening half with the BC Lions in front of the Calgary Stampeders by 10. Stampeders are 2nd and 10 to go. Back. Stampeders have won some football games in this building. As a matter of fact, they have a better record than the Lions do in head-to-head competition. Halftime about 3 minutes away. What's up at the half, Pete?
Well, we'll have sports update from Sports Desk Control in Toronto. We'll also take a look at some linebackers. You guys have been talking about the cornerbacks in this game, and rightly so, because they're playing well. But there's some good linebacking in the league this year, and 2 of the best newcomers are with the British Columbia Lions. So you'll meet them. We'll also talk to Vancouver Sun columnist Archie McDonald, who'll be along to talk about the BC Lions and about Larry Donovan's job, which even after 2 games in a young season seems to be in jeopardy. We'll talk about that. Go ahead.
You know, Peter makes a great point about the linebackers. I think if there's one feature in the Canadian Football League that's the strongest feature on every team, it's the linebacker. I mean, you have to be such a great athlete to cover this big field that, boy, every team seems to have outstanding linebacking.
This is 2nd and 10 for the Stampeders, just shy of the 40. Barrett needs a first down here. Looks long and too long. Intending that for Toner again. Flag down in the Stampeder backfield, and I think they might have got to Barrett a little too roughly or vigorously.
Or lately. Is that how you say it?
I think so. Well,
okay.
Roughing the passer, BC 76, 1st down.
Scott Leach on the blitz, and we just gave him some accolades for a good play he made against the run, but not a good one here, as the ball is definitely gone in a long time before he makes the hit, and that's a good call. Boy, you have to protect the quarterbacks because they are what makes the product so good in the CFL. Just that receiving change for the Stampeders. Of course, Larry Willis injured, not in the game. That means Jay Christensen comes in, and inside spot, and Brock Smith, number 85, moves out to the wide receiver spot.
on 1st and 10, Barrett in trouble. He's down. Parker was there first, number 40. He had some help from Gino Mingo.
Well, that's what happens when you take a 3-step drop and you're trying to hit a receiver quickly. If he doesn't come open, boy, you're in trouble. James Parker just fights off a couple of blocks. But you see the lineman, Leo Blanchard and Jamie Townsend, they're expecting that ball to be gone. Now, I'm not bailing them out. They should stay with the guy as long as they can, but, you know, Brock Smith didn't come open on the quick slant, and then the sack occurs.
Barrett facing 2nd and 15 at the 50. Charges on again. He gets away from Parker. Near side for Smith, who steps out a little short of the first down.
That's a good style of offense for Danny Barrett. Get him outside where the field is cut in half. He only has to worry about only half the defense that way. Brock Smith, I really think, lost sight of where he was on the field because he's about a good 7 yards short of that first down.
Forcing Calgary to kick it away. Brent Matic for Larry Crawford. The kicker is down, and so is a flag. Here's Crawford retreating back into the end zone. Another flag is down. Crawford is tackled back behind the goal line. Now, it should be points depending on the flags. There was one down back in the Calgary Stampeder backfield. One on the return near Crawford. So contacting the kicker is the initial call by Jacques DeCarry.
Tank's losing the N on his sweater too now. It's a good thing we know who he is.
Well, he's written it on his shoes anyway,
Yeah,
so they'll be able to follow along, and I guess that's the reason.
You're right. That's what it is.
So you take the first down, I would suspect, Leaf, or do you take the 2 points?
That's a good one.
It could depend on what the infraction is back
I'm not
on Crawford's return. Stampeders may not have the option of those 2 points. It's taking a while to explain this.
They will definitely take the 2 points if that is the case, because that means the BC will still have to kick it to them as well, so you don't give up points.
Illegal contact of the kicker, BC 78. Illegal block, BC. Both are declined. Calgary takes the safety, and BC will kick off.
All right. Just as you called it. I guess that's the way it had to be.
All right, let's have a look. It's number 78, Mac Moore, who gets called for roughing the kicker. Yeah, no question about that one. Now, Larry Crawford will field the punt, and he's going to try and give up some ground to get around the corner. No question, he goes back into the end zone. Let's see what happens. Well, you can't see the illegal contact. But the bottom line is the Calgary Stampeders add 2 points to their total, and they still will get the ball back after the kickoff.
The big key, too.
Sure.
Tom Porras, the backup to Danny Barrett tonight. Stampeders have both of their quarterbacks out of the Eastern Division, one from Hamilton, one from Toronto. Both emergency replacements after the players they had hoped would begin this season for them at quarterback both went down in preseason. On the return now, Hopkins. Stampeders could use a good return here. They'll get it from Hopkins. Hopkins still going. Hopkins inside the 30. Forced out by Belanger, but what a return by Hopkins. Flag down.
Roughing the BC Lions, so that will add to the total. Ronnie Hopkins, absolutely one of the best in the league at kickoff returns. Watch the acceleration. He gets some good blocks out in front of him. There's 37 Matt Finley and Andy McVeigh trying to hustle, but he's not fast enough to catch his teammate. But Ronnie Hopkins with a super effort. You know, a lot of guys would just go out of bounds there, but he takes it back up the inside draw horn. And a roughing penalty to number 29, Marcus Thomas at the end, and the Calgary Stampeders are in super shape. There it is, Marcus Thomas. He gave him a bit of a cheap shot there, and they called it.
Great return by Hopkins. 62 yards. Lions lead at 17-9, but the Stampeders have a first down at the 15. Good fake by Barrett. Looks to the end zone for Brock Smith. And I think he might have thrown that away. He didn't have much of a chance to get it away.
Well, there's no substitute for pressure from your front four, and James Parker just absolutely ignored the fake. You know, he put the fake into Tim Petros, didn't slow Parker down one bit, and he gets in. You know, they had a great situation one-on-one with Brock Smith out on the corner, Market Thomas, but just no time for Danny Barrett to set up and throw, and I do believe you're right, he did throw it away.
2nd and 10, Stampeders, BC 15. Barrett trying to get the signals up to his wide receivers. End zone once more. And floated it over Marshall Toner. Pretty tough to make yourself heard when the fans at BC Place want to make it difficult for you. Barrett might have had some difficulty.
Well, double coverage downfield with Marshall Toner. He had Anthony Drawhorn and help with Rick Ryan, and Danny Barrett's kind of explaining what went wrong on that one, but no way for that ball to be completed.
Stamps will try for the field goal. Mark McLaughlin good on 4 of 6 this season, as long as 51. McLaughlin puts it through. 5th field goal of the season, and the Stampeders have scored the last 5 points to narrow the gap to 5 at 17-12. Minute 30 to go until halftime. Stampeders hanging toughly.
Well, they've had a good second quarter, had a lousy first quarter, but have really come back. And, you know, the key so far in the game to me has been how they were scored upon. They go down 14-0, and then after a good kickoff return by Jamie Townsend, we're able to drive it down and get back into this game. And good things have been happening ever since.
What do you think of the Stampeders' new outfits?
Tell you what, the numbers are a lot easier to read for us up here.
Red pants instead of white pants.
That's right.
Wallace bobbles it. Doesn't lose much time. Gets out across the 30 to the 36.
You notice on the Stampeder numbers, they used to have a silver border on that red numbering, and now they've gone to a black border, which certainly makes that number stand out a little better. A little easier for the fans to follow their favorite players, and of course helps us out quite a bit.
No doubt about that. What can Matt Dunnigan do with 1:25?
Plenty. And he will. I mean, he will not sit back. Matt wants to score before halftime.
Good fake by Dunnigan doesn't fool all the Stampeders. Charge continues. This is Wallace out of the backfield. Darrell Wallace has a first down. The veteran Howard Fields, playing in his first game as a Stampeder, made the stop.
No question in my mind, Matt Dunnigan, the best quarterback in the Canadian Football League at the play action fakes and super setup to Darrell Wallace on the screen. And, you know, Matt Dunnigan's got plenty of time with 1:13 remaining.
Time to throw here on first down once more, but he drifted it into the dirt. That was Anthony Cherry, the intended receiver. 1:07 till halftime. Lions lead it by 5, 17-12 on the Calgary Stampeders. Dunnigan on 2nd and 10 as Williams forced out by Hopkins. Another BC first down for David Williams.
Well, the key is Matt Dunnigan's ability to get outside of the pocket and run. I mean, it puts so much pressure on the defensive backs. They don't know whether to come up and try and attack Dunnigan if he crosses the line of scrimmage, or stay back and cover the receivers. And, of course, with a guy like David Williams, you give him that amount of time, and he'll come open 9 times out of 10, which he did.
Dunnigan still has a minute to work with. make the stop.
Boy, that defensive front four of the Stampeders is doing a lot of running in this first half. I mean, they about 3 or 4 times now chased Matt Dunnigan all over the field. And, you know, Matt's not going to get tired, but, boy, guys like Gene Beliveau and number 74, Mitchell Price there, that could take its toll later on in the game.
Number 74, or 78 rather, Joe March was in pursuit as well. And this is Vernell Quinn, playing his first game as a linebacker for the Stampeders. Last week he was up on the line. Vernell Quinn from Weber State.
Oh, face mask penalty on the Stampeders. I didn't really catch who it was against, but another break adds some yardage on when a horrible play by Dunnigan. He's caught way in the backfield, and all of a sudden they find themselves in scoring position. I think it was number 84, Beliveau, just clipped a piece of Dunnigan's face mask on the way down.
51 seconds till halftime. Dunnigan still with time to get it into the end zone, or at least come away with some points for the BC Lions in the dying seconds. Cherry on the draw inside the 30. Frank Balkovic in for Vernell Quinn, made the stop. Lamont Jeffers went down last week, another Stampeder linebacker. Dunnigan looking to the corner. Cherry was the intended receiver.
Well, he certainly looked open deep downfield, but about 20 yards right down the middle of the field. Jan Carinci, I don't know if you can see him in your screen. No, you can't. He was absolutely wide open. Matt Dunnigan didn't see him, but good defensive play to knock that ball away.
That brings on Lou Pasaglia with 37 seconds in the half.
So Matt Dunnigan had no trouble moving his team into scoring position and setting up this attempt for Louis Pasaglia.
Pasaglia on the money as the Lions move into an 8-point lead on the Calgary Stampeders at 20-12.
Larry Donovan must be pleased with the offensive performance tonight. I mean, that has not been a problem for his club so far this year. They lead in most categories, as we've mentioned earlier in the broadcast, but they have just had a couple of big plays occur against them in their first 2 games that have cost them victories in both games. But tonight so far, the defense is playing well enough, and the offense providing 20 points in a half, which is a pretty good total.
33 seconds till a half in the battle of the Larrys. Larry Kuharek and Larry Donovan, both elevated to head coaching positions in the same season, 1987. Partway through the year, Kuharek was on the job first, Donovan later in the season. Stacey Dawson on the return. Much for Dawson that time. 28 seconds remaining now, so not much for Danny Barrett to work with a long way to go.
I think Danny Barrett will be very content to go into the locker room trailing by 8 points and run the clock out with only 28 seconds remaining.
Barrett less than 50% on the night. 20-12, the Lions lead the Stampeders. Calgary first down at the 33. Good fake by Barrett. He has room to run. Barrett out at midfield, sliding in near the 47. Quickly, the Stampeders move within field goal range. 18 seconds left. First down away from a field goal try, perhaps. They're in a hurry-up offense.
What a great run by Danny Barrett. Initially a great fake and then a super effort.
Drawhorn making the stop.
Catch the pass, one down.
Hebert the catch. 10 seconds till halftime. Does Barrett have a chance to get one more reception? No. 5 seconds.
Well, they really needed that extra catch by Brock Smith right there. I'm not really too sure of the range of Mark McLaughlin, but at this point, he's looking at 46, 53 yarded.
Longest of the season for McLaughlin is 51, so he's close to his range.
Timeout, Calgary.
Well, this will be a good test for him.
Mark McLaughlin from Concordia. Longest field goal in 1988, 58 yards.
So he does have the range.
He has the range.
Of course, you never know if that was in Calgary. That usually are hurricanes blowing one way there.
Well, he's got the prevailing wind behind him here at BC Place tonight.
Boy, it's windy in here tonight.
A 53-yard field goal try for Mark McLaughlin on the final play of the opening half. He comes up a little short this time. Lions content to. Lions out in front by 8 at 20-12. Some happy young fans in the background. And here's how the numbers looked for the first half of football. 180 total yards for the Lions compared to 113 for the Stampeders. Net yards 166 for BC, 108 for Calgary. Just one turnover going against the Stampeders. Time of possession rather close. 15:51 for Calgary and 14:09 for the BC Lions. Danny Barrett first half, 6 of 16, 51 yards, 1 interception. And Matt Dunnigan's numbers just a little bit better.
I think the big key for the Calgary Stampeders so far is they haven't beaten themselves with turnovers. That, of course, was the problem last week against Edmonton. 1 interception in the first half. That's not too bad.
On the return, Anthony Drawhorn. Ulysses Thurman forced him out.
Well, there's been some great kickoff returns tonight, and an asset for your offense to be able to start with such great field position after good work on the special teams. And the BC Lions begin the third quarter out at their own 53-yard line. A nice spot for Matt Dunnigan to operate from.
Dunnigan 50% in the first half, 11 completions in 22 tries, 152 yards, and the big long touchdown. Also scored one himself on a 1-yard plunge. Dunnigan.
It's gone, it's gone.
Carenzi was closest to the football.
I don't know if you could hear Jacques Decarry, the head referee, after Dunnigan threw the ball. He said he's yelling, "It's gone, it's gone," and he's trying to tell those defensive linemen, like, don't hit him, so I don't have to call a penalty against you. Pretty smart play by the referee.
Second down for Dunnigan. Andrew Murray, the intended receiver, and Howard Fields was with him. Murray's looking for a call. He's not going to get it. Enter Lou Pasaglia. Stampeders dropped 2 punt returners back this time.
Fields released by the Hamilton Tiger Cats this year in training camp. You know, he had 8 interceptions last year. Pretty good year. Howard kind of got caught up in a funny situation where a rookie named Sonny Gordon came into training camp from Ohio State. He's an exceptional talent, Sonny Gordon was, and they felt just with the age factor that they had to make a move for the long term, and Howard Fields got caught up in it. But there's no question in my mind he still can be a very effective defensive back in this league and has played well tonight.
Ours for the taking now. Come on, Mike.
Lou Pasaglia. Good kick. This is Stacy Dossie at the 15. Dossie lost it. It'll be Stampeder football, though. He was the last player to touch it as it rolled out of bounds. Alondra Johnson led the tacklers upfield for BC that time. TSN Turning Point tonight will be Brian Vancouver Leaf.
Just to call the Converse the limousines for the feet.
Tim Petros. tipped over Spallettini. Spallettini is the right guard for the Calgary Stampeders. Coach Q, Larry Kuharek. They give Petros a gain of 5. This will be 2nd and 5 for the Stampeders from the 25. Early in the 3rd quarter, Barrett released in a hurry, short of the first down. Bernie Glier forcing the receiver Townsend out of bounds. Jamie Townsend.
Now it's a good throw for Danny Barrett. You know, he's only got 5 yards to go. You hope that your running back can catch it in the flat and pick up 5, but Bernie Glier with excellent coverage forces Townsend out of bounds, and Larry Kuharek not in a gambling mood at his own 30-yard line as they come up about a yard short.
Too deep in the Calgary zone to gamble here this early in the 3rd quarter. 12:59 to play. Lions lead it 20-12 in the Calgary Stampeders. Low snap. Maddock handles it well and gets a good kick away. This is Darrell Wallace. Flag is down. Spallettini made the tackle, but it's going against the BC Lions on the return. Illegal block.
Illegal block. BC number 9. First down.
We'll see it here.
Well, there's no question about this. Right in front of the referee, too. You know, the coaches, if they say it one time, they say it 1,000 times during the season. If you can't block them legally on a punt or kickoff return, don't block them. But the players, it just doesn't seem to sink in.
Lions first down at the 25. Dunnigan keeps. He's being forced back to the far side, intending that one for Andrew Murray. Mac Moore was back in there with Dunnigan and had him kind of cornered.
Funny play for Matt Dunnigan. Good play action fake. Kind of froze everybody, but then he looked out to Eric Streeter, and he was just standing on the sidelines. Didn't think the ball was coming his way, so I'm sure Matt's going to have a few questions for him. Pretty good containment when Dunnigan tries to get outside the pocket by number 78 for the Calgary Stampeders. Joe March, the newcomer from Murray State. He and Ronnie Hopkins played in university together.
Big run for Tony Cherry. Thurman forced him out, but Cherry got substantial yardage and got the Lions out of a big hole with a 14-yard gain.
Boy, is that ever nice when you can run the ball on 2nd and 10. The draw with Tony Cherry. Good block by Jim Mills, the left tackle, on 45, Vernell Quinn, and Tony Cherry does the rest at 14 yards, gives him a first down.
Lions out near the 40 with a first down. Dunnigan to Cherry. Flag is down. Price made the stop on Cherry, number 74. Procedure call against the Lions.
Procedure BC number 2, no end, decline, 2nd down.
So David Williams lined up incorrectly. Fairly even in total yardage and penalties so far this night. Matt Dunnigan for Carinci. Carinci right on the first down marker. Thurman forced him out, but Carinci got the job done. Good pattern.
Well, it took a while in coming. We suggested that Jan Carinci was really looking forward to working one-on-one against Junior Thurman tonight. Jan, a good out pattern to the outside. Thurman just a little late in getting there. And once again, a nice pickup. Dunnigan's got a pretty good drive going here.
First down from the 50. Dunnigan goes to the far side for Andrew Murray, and he can't bring it in.
Dunnigan, of course, the kind of quarterback that can be so streaky. You know, he can miss and go about 3 for 6, and all of a sudden, before you know it, he's 7 for 7. They got a great drive going, and looks as though he's back on target again, although that pass was a little low for Andrew Murray.
10:58 to go, 3rd quarter. It is the Lions leading the Stampeders by 8, 20-12. Matt Dunnigan, 2nd and 10 from the 50 for the Lions. Some room opens up. Dunnigan looks long for Williams. Underthrown and picked off by Hopkins. Ron Hopkins, good job, and still standing on his feet as he gets it out to the 39. Dunnigan came up to make the tackle. He does not like being intercepted. Hopkins gets the Stampeders out of a bit of a jam.
After he makes his 2nd interception of the season, and what a play he made on David Williams. You know, David Williams appeared to be home and free, but a ball a little underthrown by Matt Dunnigan, and Ronnie Hopkins actually doesn't see it until the last second. He'll turn around, locates the football. See, he's watching David Williams' eyes. He sees Williams' eyes, look for the ball, then he turns, makes the catch, and watch the block on 27 Kerinci. Vernell Quinn, kaboom. Ronnie Hopkins with a big kickoff return tonight. Now an interception, and I'll tell you, he's doing everything he can to try and make these Stampeders a winner.
Dunnigan missed the tackle and then got up and came back and made the tackle finally on Hopkins. Ron Hopkins still in pain. Let's see what Danny Barrett can do. Numbers not all that impressive. 55 yards total passing for the Stampeders by Barrett. Big chance for Calgary here, trailing by 8 as Barrett unloads down the side. He's safe. That's Brock Smith. It's lucky they had that on a magnet.
The tank gets hit, the net gets knocked over. I mean, that's a lot of stuff happening on one play, isn't it? Overthrown, you catch the big fish, tank jumps out of the way. You know, going back to Danny Barrett, 55 yards passing, and we're into the 3rd quarter. I mean, that is tough to try and win a football game with that little yardage.
2nd and 10 for the Stampeders. Barrett time. As Larry Willis back in the game. Willis out near the 55. Larry Crawford made the stop on Larry Willis, who had to leave the game in the first half with an injured hand. You see some tape there.
A good look at Larry Willis, number 89 on the outside. Let's 2 receivers, Marshall Toner and Brock Smith, clear it out a little bit for him. He cuts underneath, and a good delivery by Danny Barrett. And of course, you know, after an interception, you always like to capitalize if you can. And he makes a good catch, pick up the 1st down. Some tape on the hand, hard to tell what happened to it in the 2nd quarter.
This is Jimmy Townsend. Townsend inside the 50 of the BC Lions, stopped by Mac Moore, number 78. A gain of 8. Stampeders rolling a little bit.
I'm informed that Larry Willis cut the hand, and the tape is, of course, to take care of that. Good surge by the BC Lion defense. James Parker, Scott Leach, Mac Moore, and everybody, but it couldn't stop the Stampeders from picking up 8 yards. And of course, that's going to be the key for them here in the 2nd half. What kind of production can they get on 1st down? They don't want to be in 2nd and long too many times against this BC defense.
Barrett looked to the far side for Brock Smith, and he was well off target.
Boy, Danny Barrett's a funny quarterback, isn't he? You know, so many times he looks good when he steps up into the pocket, throws off his front foot, and then other times like that pass play where he looks so horrible. You know, I mean, that thing wasn't even close. Off the back foot, really no pressure on him. And I suspect maybe Brock Smith did not run the right pattern that he should have.
Stampeders, however, pick up a few yards and will force the Lions a little deeper into BC territory if they can contain on this punt by Brent Matich. Good kick. This is Larry Crawford calling for it at the 2. Lost it. And who has the football? The Calgary Stampeders look like they've recovered the ball on a Larry Crawford fumble. Matt Finley, number 37, has the football. Stampeders' biggest break of the night with a 1st down near the 2.
Larry Crawford, who's the all-time leading BC Lion punt returner, doesn't do that very often. He coughs the ball up in an awful spot on the field. And as John told you, number 37, the reserve linebacker Matt Finley, is right there with the fumble recovery. And boy, you know, it's nice to see the Calgary Stampeders. I don't think they've had one good break in 3 games. And Now they finally get one. Unfortunate for Larry Crawford that he coughed the ball up.
Stampeders first down goal to go at the BC 4. Barrett gives it to McVeigh. Keith Gooch stopped him. Perhaps a loss of a yard.
Well, when you're starting first and goal at the BC Lion 4-yard line, I mean, that's a tough place to try and pound the football in on the ground. And Keith Gooch came up and had him around the neck and got him down pretty easily. But, you know, Danny Barrett's either going to have to run it himself or go to the air to try and score a touchdown.
Andy McVeigh in on the offensive series now, replacing, I guess, Tim Petros. So Petros is out there. Second down, goal to go, Stampeders. As the fans come to life at BC Place. Stamps are at the Lion 5. Barrett. Could not hang on. There is a flag down. I think Barrett was roughed up on the Stampeder backfield. Lions get 2 calls against them. Offside and roughing the passer. So they'll get down to the 2.
Danny Barrett takes a big hit after he lets go of this football, but Brock Smith is supposed to run out to the flat and try and take Drawhorn with him, and that will allow Willis to come on a slant.
Offside,
Brock
BC
Smith
44, roughing the passer, BC 90, first down.
And it means a Stampeder first down. At the 1. Barrett sliding through and gets the touchdown. Barrett submarining into the end zone to get the Calgary Stampeders right back in this ball game. No flags. Touchdown will stand. Something to smile about in Calgary. Don't go away. 7:11 to play in the 3rd quarter.
Well, Danny Barrett with his 2nd touchdown of the night sneaks in behind Dan Ferroni, number 66, as he did for his 1st touchdown. And Calgary Stampeders take advantage of the fumbled punt by Larry Crawford, and boy, they find themselves right back in this game and give them full marks. They have not wilted under any of the BC Lion pressure tonight and find themselves now just trailing by 1.
Mark McLaughlin adding the extra points, and the BC Lions have had their lead reduced by the Calgary Stampeders to 1 at 20-19.
Let go, everybody, let go. All right.
Following the Stampeder touchdown. Wallace and Drawhorn deep for this kickoff by Mark McLaughlin. This is Anthony Drawhorn at the 15. Good return man. Drawhorn gets out to the 35. And he's smothered there. Tim Petros leading the Stampeder tacklers. And Finley also in there, number 37. Dunnigan, it's up to you once more. The Lion lead has been cut to a single point. BC first down at the 36. Dunnigan back quickly. Now farther back as he unloads for Cherry. He made the catch. But lost yards. 97, Ken Ford. Pretty good hit.
Boy, Kenny Cherry. Sorry, John. Kenny Ford is really having a super game tonight on defense. He reads this screen pass to Tony Cherry so quickly that he is right there just as the ball arrives. Makes a good hit. They can't block him. Oh, what a tremendous defensive play. Cherry did catch the football, so that is a big loss.
Second and 16 facing Dunnigan now. Almost picked off by Howard Fields after it was tipped earlier by Vernell Quinn, number 45.
Good job on the defense for the Calgary Stampeders. You know, second and about 18, I guess it was, and they send everybody back, and a good tip by Vernell Quinn. Howard Fields has a shot at it here, but that's good defense. You know, they squeeze down the lane on that zone. Andrew Murray trying to get in on the hook. And well, the key for the Stampeders now as they trail by one will be don't beat yourself. And that means no turnovers, no silly penalties, and if they can do that, they've got a chance.
Howard Fields moving up to field the punt by Lou Busaglia. Flag down. He'll be going against Calgary. Or against BC, rather.
That's a good job by Howard Fields. Boy, you don't want that ball to bounce and hit the ground. And that happened to him earlier. This time he stayed up a little closer, made the catch, gets another 15 with the no yards call.
No yards, BC number 18, first down.
Boy, good pressure, too, by the Calgary Stampeders. And Lou Busaglia speeds it up just enough that Darcy Kopp, number 32, in there. What a special teams player he has turned out to be for the Stampeders.
Howard Fields, the injured Stampeder here, Leaf.
Yep.
Fields in his 8th CFL season. Previous 7 with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Pressure mounting on Larry Donovan.
I'd see how Howard Fields got hurt.
They made a Howard sandwich there.
They did. But Howard, a tough guy from Baylor University, bounces right back up. But, you know, he's the kind of guy that can really help a team like Calgary. You know, he's a veteran. He's been an all-star. He's a good team man, a good leader. He talks it up well on the sidelines. Very positive kind of guy. And, well, I think he's been and will be a tremendous addition for them.
And look where he's got the Stampeders now. The first down, Barrett escapes. Heavy pressure on Danny Barrett as he gets to the 30 and should have enough for the first down.
Believe Danny Barrett got away from James Parker. Little fake to try and hold the linebackers, but really doesn't hold Parker at all. And I can't believe Danny Barrett was able to get away from him and scamper for 11 yards and a first down. And, you know, that's the thing that Danny Barrett's going to have to do. That's 56 yards rushing. That's almost as much as he's got throwing the football tonight.
Stampeders first down inside the BC 30. Pressure on Barrett. He goes down. Toner can't hang on to the pass. Well, Mac Moore offering the charge for BC that time on Barrett.
Well, you watch Danny Barrett now, once again throwing off that back foot, the right foot. He doesn't step up and plant, and whenever that happens, he has been off target tonight. Now, with Mac Moore, number 78, breathing down your neck, that can make you throw out the back foot in a hurry. But it's tough completing passes.
2nd and 10. Stampeders just inside the BC 30. Barrett looks to the far side for Andy McVeigh. And on 3rd down, the Lions will try and get through to block a Stampeder field goal try from Mark McLaughlin.
Well, here's where they really have to count on Mark McLaughlin. You know, like, they have really struggled to get back into this ball game and have a chance to take the lead here. But, you know, they've done some good things. Danny Barrett picked up a good first down to get them in scoring position. Now they have to be able to count on Mark McLaughlin to come through for them.
From 36 yards away, Mark McLaughlin is good, and the Calgary Stampeders have the lead for the first time at BC Place tonight. Flag down, so hold on 1 second. Looks like the Lions are offside. Not really much of an option here. Take the 3 points. That's really all the Calgary Stampeders can do.
18, decline, field goal stands.
And so does the Calgary Stampeder lead. So far this season, the Lions jumped into an early 14-0 lead. The Stampeders have come back to tie and now have moved out in front by a count of 22-20. Lots of time left in our TSN Game of the Week. Lots of time for the Lions to retake the lead.
So, Marty Adler, BC by 14, eh? Well, I'm stupid. I went along with it.
You did too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Boy, I'm really happy to see the Calgary Stampeders playing well. You know, that's tough last week to get hammered and then, you know, regroup with only 4 days of practice and come back and put on a good show, and they've really done that tonight. BC fans, they're a little nervous. Their team has not won yet this year and has not looked overly brilliant tonight.
This is Anthony Drawhorn on the return. Drawhorn speeds to his right. Some room over there, but it closes quickly. Stampeders have done a pretty good job on special teams. You mentioned that earlier, but they have made a few things happen with their special team play.
Well, especially the kick returning. You know, the Ronnie Hopkins, Jamie Townsend have done a good job. On the punt return, Stacey Dossie has done a good job. Howard Fields catches a short punt. They get a no yards, another 15. You know, that's really good heads-up football. And, of course, how many times have we said it? And it is so true. A real barometer of how well your team plays is just watch the special team play.
First down for the BC Lions. Tough slugging inside behind Jamie Buis. Mitchell Price made the stop.
Well, Dunnigan all night has really tried to get that running game going on first down, and except for a couple of runs by Tony Cherry, really they have not got the production that they have wanted on first down. Once again, they find themselves second and reasonably long, 6 yards to go.
And Dunnigan will throw. Or will he? Pressure on from the Stampeders. Dunnigan escapes. And Dunnigan has the first down. He got it done himself. An official is injured back near the 45.
Dave Ewell, the umpire, really got corked across the middle, and I seriously hope that he is not hurt.
Also another injured BC player not far away. That's Andrew Murray. Hard-hitting game.
Well, John, the Calgary Stampeders have yet to win, but they are known as one of the most physical teams in the Canadian Football League.
Dave Ewell, a veteran CFL official, the umpire in tonight's game. See what happened here, Lee.
Good pressure initially by number 84, Eugene Beliveau, and well, I don't know how Dunnigan gets away from him.
Looked like he ran into the tank. Dave Ewell did.
Well, the tank doesn't care what color jersey you've got on. He's just out there to hit.
Pat Clayton, the Stampeder trainer, is out talking to Dave Ewell. They got him sitting up. Whether he'll be able to continue in the game, we'll wait and see. Tough guy.
Tank said, "Look, Dave, don't get in my way. You know, like I can't stop on a dime. You know." Glad to see Dave Ewell up. Andrew Murray as well, up and off, making his way off the field.
Peter, how do you see it down there?
Well, guys, when Calgary gets the ball back, have a look at Marshall Toner, if you like, because in a situation where they're in zone coverage, Barrett's going to try and hit him underneath.
Darrell Wallace, the ball carrier for BC, and not much room to move there. Eugene Beliveau, number 84. 6'3", 250-pounder out of St. FX, made the stop. No gain, second down, 10 to go. Lions trail 22-20 to the Calgary Stampeders, who have battled back from a 14-0 deficit. Dunnigan gets away again. Somehow Dunnigan has magically avoided the Calgary Stampeders. Will he get away once more? Fired the pass, ran a long way, and fired it for Eric Streeter. Dunnigan just trying to get something rolling for the BC Lions.
Well, he's so elusive, but mean, I can't believe the running that front four of the Calgary Stampeders has done tonight. And so many guys have a shot. They come with the blitz. Vernell Quinn, you know, he has him dead, and Dunnigan somehow gets away. Kent Warnock had a shot at him. Watch number 74, Mitchell Price. I mean, there's no way he can catch him here. Runs out of gas, but boy, they are getting their sprints in tonight. John Helton, of course, the defensive line coach of the Stampeders, over to give some words of encouragement to his guys, because the tongues are probably hanging out as they come to the sideline.
Basagley on third down. Good kick. Stacey Dossie waiting for it near the 10. Straight up the line. Dossie dropped at the 25. 35, Paul Wetmore. Stampeders will start from deep in their territory at the 26. Danny Barrett. Barrett very definitely a CFL survivor. He came to Calgary trying to be a quarterback, ended up as an outside receiver, played a little quarterback here, then ended up going to Toronto. Played a little for the Argonauts, mostly in a backup capacity. Now he gets another shot to lead the Calgary Stampeders as a quarterback. Marcus Thomas thought he might have been able to pull that one in.
Boy, he's having some night. You know, his acceleration for the first 3 or 4 steps is so strong and powerful that, you know, he makes up such a great distance in such a short amount of time that he can get in there and knock these passes away. I mean, that's a super read, and of course he has an interception tonight, really filling the spot that was vacated by Andre Francis. I mean, they have not skipped a beat at that position.
2nd and 10, Stampeders at the 26. Charge is on. Barrett unloads over the middle, has a first down. Brock Smith still going. Stopped by Marcus Thomas at the 42. Smith's having a pretty good night. Another injured player, number 4, Anthony Drawhorn.
Brock Smith, the rookie from Fresno State University, which is a tremendous passing school in U.S. college, and you know, he's got some pretty good credentials coming out of there. A little jitterbug over the middle. Nice move to get away from Drawhorn and pick up a first down. You know, when you're backed up in your own end, you know, even if you make a couple of first downs, so important to try and reestablish some kind of field position for your team.
That was a big first down for the Stampeders. Gets them out across the 40 at the 42. Calgary in the lead, 22-20 on the BC Lions with 1:03 to play in the 3rd quarter. Larry Willis, shaken up in the first half, had 7 stitches on the palm of his left hand and has returned 1 catch in the 2nd half for sure.
I mean, you know, a guy's got some courage when he can have 7 stitches in the hand and come back and want to catch footballs. I mean, I really think that's gutsy. Anthony Drawhorn, the injured BC Lion, he was in coverage on number 85, Brock Smith, and you'll see as Smith breaks away from that tackle, the knee looks like it gets twisted or banged on the turf. The left knee looked like it twisted as he went down. He is up, leaving the field under his own steam, so I'm sure he will not be out for very long.
Stampeders have come back to make a game of this one at BC Place tonight. They were heavy-duty underdogs going in against the Lions, who are a little snarly after losing 2 in a row. Stampeders have also lost 2 in a row. But Barrett has rallied the troops and brought them back. They now lead by 2. Here's Barrett for Larry Willis. Willis has 5.
That's that same underneath pattern he caught earlier in the 2nd quarter to get down to the 1-yard line. Brock Smith clears out for him. Larry takes about 3 steps downfield and then just angles in, tries to get underneath the defensive backs, and it's a good call on first down because if you make the catch, you're usually guaranteed of about 8 or 9 yards and set yourself up in a pretty good situation.
2nd down for the Stampeders. They need 5. Barrett in trouble. Not down yet, but he is now. Gino Mingo has the quarterback sack.
Danny Barrett once again under some pretty heavy pressure here, not too comfortable in the pocket there, and I don't really blame him. Number 91, Eugene Mingo, in the ball game, and he's been with the Stampeders for a couple of years now. Saw some spot duty last year in 1988 when there were some injuries. He's from Oregon State, 6'2", 235, and getting a chance to play here tonight.
Brent Manage, left-footed for Darrell Wallace, and Wallace goes down all by himself. That is the end of the third quarter, and the Calgary Stampeders have come back to take the lead. They have a 2-point advantage. One of the newcomers in the BC Lions scheme of things played well. Alondro Johnson, number 44. Numbers in the game of the week: 22 for the Stampeders, 20 for the Lions. It is a first down, BC. Inside the 30. The Stamps are toughening up. BC still with the advantage in total yards at 228 compared to 178 for Calgary. Stampeders now lead in the turnover department. The Lions have coughed it up twice.
Well, that will be the key. You know, we talked about the Stampeders self-destructing this year, and turnovers have hurt them, and they can play error-free. There's no reason why they can't hang on.
Second down and 7. The Lions will be forced to kick it away as Dunnigan missed his target. Eric Streeter was close. Jamie Terrace was also circling in the vicinity. Dunnigan, stats to three-quarter time: 13 completions and 31 tries, 170 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception.
Not a great night for Matt Dunnigan. Of course, you know, we had a little chat before the game, and he was so confident that the BC Lions would come out tonight and really explode offensively because it had no trouble moving the football in the first 2 games. But tonight it just has not been the case.
Lou Pasaglia. Townsend under it, bobbles it, and he stepped out of bounds, so there's no return. 44-yard kick for Lou Pasaglia. Stampeders still have pretty good field position near the 40.
Louis, such a great kicker. You know, you always look at a punter and what are his net yards. You know, Louis, 44 yards in distance, hits it right on the sideline, no return, a net of 44. And I mean, that's how you measure a kicker. I mean, it's no good if you kick it 60 and they bring it back 30. So Lou Pasaglia, you know, 14 years been around and really finely tuned his kicking game. Larry Kaharick, boy, I think he's in a great position here. Fourth quarter has not been kind to the Stampeders in 1989. They are outscored 33-3 in that quarter, so with any luck, that'll change for them.
See what Barrett can do here as he swings it out for Tim Petros, and Petros has a first down or close to first down territory. Up near the 44, stopped by Larry Crawford. Petros is a tough guy to bring down.
Yeah, he is. You know, this is just like a sweep, really, except you throw the football instead of handing it off. To get him out with a single blocker in front and Timmy Petros on first down gets some good yardage. And, boy, in the fourth quarter, that would definitely be a key for the Stampeders. Can they keep some drives going and eat up some of this clock?
This is 2nd and 2. And a first down for Townsend as he crashes across to midfield at the 55. Crawford again on the tackle. Numbers on Danny Barrett: 11 completions, 26 tries, nearing 100 yards now.
There's a super block by number 12, Tim Petros, on the middle linebacker, Alondra Johnson. You know, Petros, good receiver, good runner, and a lot of times he doesn't get the credit he deserves because he is an excellent lead blocker.
Stacy Dossie, number 81, splits to the near side. Larry Willis to the far side of the field. 1st and 10, Calgary. Barrett gets the charge. He goes down. Quick Parker got him from behind by the ankles.
Well, that's twice tonight that James Quick Parker just totally disregards the play action fake. I mean, like, he does not stop. Good move to get around the tackle, Craig Watson. Of course, that's been the characteristic of Parker throughout his illustrious career, is that quickness. I mean, he is not a big man, but boy, the speed and the way he just absolutely stopped Craig Watson in his tracks.
13-yard loss. Parker, a defensive Shenley winner in 82, 84, and 86. Here's Barrett facing big yardage and a whole bunch of BC Lions. Mac Moore batted the pass down. Barrett is down near the 25. He's had a tough night.
He's taken a lot of hits, and boy, you have to know as a quarterback when the BC Lions are trailing in most any time that they do a lot of blitzing. Alondra Johnson up the middle, number 7 Bernie Gleer coming on the blitz from the outside, hands up by Mac Moore to knock that ball away. I thought Danny Barrett did a good job just to get the ball away and avoid the sack.
Brent Manage gets a charge. He is down, and a flag is down. This is Darrell Wallace on the return. It won't count for very much, although Wallace has some room to the far side. Steps out near the 50.
I mean, how did they miss the blocking the punt? I can't believe that number 1, they didn't block it. We'll have a good look at Brent Manage here as he gets this ball away. But Jan Carinci, number 27, I mean, who touched him? I mean, I don't know about this one. I mean, unless the wind blew him down, I mean, I don't know, because nobody touched him. And hey, listen, what goes around comes around. Eric Streeter got a catch that shouldn't have been a catch, and now they get Stampeders get a bit of a break. It doesn't give them a first down, however. They come up still about 3 yards short, but that was a beauty.
It was 3rd and 23. So Manage will get a chance with a few more yards. Low snap, charge comes again, gets it away, no problem. This is Darrell Wallace on the return. Stampeders surround him and nail him at the 22. Timeout on the field with the Calgary Stampeders. Leading the lead in the Calgary Stampeders. Danny Barrett came back to chip away at the lead. Barrett rushed into the end zone from 1 yard away to narrow it to 14-7. The Lions added a field goal. Calgary got a safety and a field goal to make it 20-12. And then on a big turnover, Larry Crawford coughed it up. The Stampeders marched in, got the touchdown, and took the lead at 22-20.
And as we saw both coaches on a split screen on the sideline, you know there's some great nervousness between those two guys, both looking for their first win of the season.
The Battle of the Larrys at BC Place tonight. Larry Donovan, Larry Kuharek, and the heat is on both, isn't it?
Well, I think so. Probably a little more for Larry Kuharek than Larry Donovan. I mean, Larry Donovan knows he's going to win some games this year with this group of talent that he has. Larry Kuharek, on the other hand, we're not quite so sure.
Eric Streeter made the catch in front of Chris Major. Lost a couple of yards after catching the football. We'll mark it a gain of 4, 2nd and 6 BC. Matt Dunnigan has had a few problems tonight. He got the early lead, but he hasn't been able to move the Lions in the second half. Cherry stopped short of a first down. Hopkins is there, number 15.
Boy, the corners have had a great night, though. I mean, you know, Tony Cherry out in the open field is a tough guy to bring down. We saw Kenny Ford in a situation miss him earlier, but Ronnie Hopkins, of course, with it, he's a pretty cagey corner. He sees what's happening, reads the pass way out in the flat to Cherry, and he just leaves his man, comes up, makes the good hit. You know, that's what, if you can stop the guy dead, I mean, that's some accomplishment, and they come up short.
Lou Pasaglia standing near his 20. Pasaglia angling toward the sidelines, doesn't get over quite far enough. Townsend doesn't have much running room, however. He is dropped after a loss of a yard. Jamie Buse, number 69, led the BC tacklers that time. 9:53 to go, fourth quarter. The Stampeders lead by 2 at 22-20. Lead, this one is here for the taking.
Oh, sure it is. You know, I'm really surprised the BC Lions have not played better offensively in the second half. Defensively, you know, they've been okay. The one fumbled punt by Larry Crawford at this point in time seems to be the big play in the game. Jamie Townsend, the injured Stampeder. But for Danny Barrett and his offense, gives him a chance to come over and have another chat with Larry Koharic before he goes out onto the field. They just have to try and eat up the clock. I know it's an easy thing to sit up here and say that, but keep it on the ground, keep the clock moving, and try not to make any mistakes that can hurt yourself. Let's go back and have a look at Jamie Townsend. What happened on that punt return? Takes the hit initially from Scott Leach, and the BC Lion tackler just fell on the back of his leg, maybe twisted something.
Jamie Townsend out of East Washington. Started last week for the Calgary Stampeders with Sean Faulkner on the injury list. A lot of Stampeders on the injury list.
A lot of guys hobbling around out there tonight, John.
.9:53 to play, fourth quarter. Larry Donovan's BC Lions, Larry Kuharic's Calgary Stampeders. It'll be a Stampeder first down at the 32. Dan Barrett's numbers steadily improving. 55 yards passing in the first half. Lots of running room for the Calgary Stampeders. Andy McVeigh. James Parker dragged him down.
Well, what a bonus it could be if the Stampeders can keep the ball on the ground. Great block by the right guard, Tom Spallettini, on Scott Leach. Watch that. Bit of a hold there. I mean, you know, all-star wrestling comes into it every now and again, but the Calgary Stampeders will take advantage. And a good hard run by Andy McVeigh, who gets a chance to play with an injury to Jamie Townsend. That was a good takedown, wasn't it?
It really was. First down, Calgary at the 45. McVeigh again tries the outside this time, and there's not much over there. Alondra Johnson, number 44, making his presence felt tonight.
Wow, he's got, sorry, John, he has got some speed for a middle linebacker. You know, here's a guy with Alondra Johnson's size. I mean, he is a big man. He's 6 foot, 215 pounds. And here's a guy who was a kickoff and punt returner in college playing middle linebacker in the pros. So, you know, he's got some wheels.
A loss of 2. This is 2nd and 12, facing Barrett and the Stampeders now. Man open, Brock Smith. Good move for Smith as he gets the first down. Johnson, number 44, was there again, but Smith makes a terrific move after making the catch. Watch again.
It really does. Looks like Larry Crawford, number 28, the victim on this move. Good throw by Danny Barrett, that time off the front foot, and good move to get around Larry Crawford. And of course, now key in the game when you're trying to have some ball control is just to make those big catches, make the moves. You know, he picked up that extra 5 yards on the move to get the first down, and he's had himself a good second half, made some key catches.
On first down, Barrett to the far side for Willis. Willis has the first down. He almost lost it. Retreating a couple of yards, but he got back to get the first down in front of Belanger. Robin Belanger into the game with injuries in the BC secondary.
Larry Willis and Brock Smith are kind of like bookends, both from Fresno State, both about the same size, 5'9", 175, and both possessing some tremendous moves that time. Larry Willis with some pretty fancy footwork, but once again another first down for the Stampeders, and boy, they're looking impressive.
Reminded me of your footwork in the old days, number 71. Here's Barrett in trouble. He escapes. Danny Barrett inside the 30, inside the 25. Big play for the Calgary Stampeders.
Well, Well, we know about the running abilities of Danny Barrett, and, you know, often you cannot force the ball in downfield, and that's the last thing he would like to do at this stage. So just tuck it under your arm and run. Gets a block downfield from 34, Andy McVeigh, and, well, boy, he has put together a nice drive. Some good passes to Brock Smith and Larry Willis, and then a nice run by himself.
20 yards on that gain. Barrett has 76 on the night. Quick pitch to McVeigh. McVeigh off the left side. He's inside the 20. Alondra Johnson the stop on Andy McVeigh.
Well, there's some tremendous hitting going on out there. Once again, Tim Petros, the lead blocker on that play, just absolutely throws a beautiful block on 7. Bernie Glear, the outside linebacker, and Calgary doing a good job up front. Boy, all you see is BC Lions on the ground, so you know that offensive line is also getting off the ball quickly.
2nd and 7 for the Stampeders. Just inside the BC 20. Barrett rolling to his right. Has to throw. They call it a catch out of bounds. OB. Larry Willis. Enter Mark McLaughlin.
Better choice for Danny Barrett might have been to run the football. You know, he only needed about 6 yards. It looked like he might be able to get it. I mean, second guessing is always the easiest thing to do from the booth, but at least he did the safe thing. No interceptions, and he gets an opportunity for Mark McLaughlin to add to their lead.
Stampeders lead it 22-20 with a chance to make it a 5-point advantage here with McLaughlin from the 27. McLaughlin puts it through, and the Calgary Stampeders lead the British Columbia Lions by 5. It is 25-20.
Warnock suffered through that. Now finally under Larry Koharic getting a chance to play. Ian Sinclair, the injured BC Lion, of course the center of that team, played on a championship team with the Miami Hurricanes, national champions, I believe 1983.
Basaglia forced to kick now back near his 30. Stampeders lead it by 5 at 25-20. Stacey Dossey, a running catch.
Boy, I like to see that. You know, like, you lose so many yards when you let that thing hit the ground. That's really a heads-up play.
29-yard kick for Basaglia that time. 4:33 to play in the final quarter with the Stampeders in front of the Lions by 5. It's been a tough night on both teams. Pat Clayton has been a busy guy, the athletic therapist of the Stampeders.
It's a great play by Stacey Dossey. You know, he's fighting to keep every possible yard that they can. He doesn't want to let that ball hit and give up about 15, 20 yards. Well, that's a gutsy play and a good play.
The quarterback, Matthew Dunnigan, being attended to on the sidelines as well. Hard hitting ball game. BC plays tonight. Lions have a tough schedule ahead as well. If they don't come up with a victory tonight, it's not going to get much easier next week against the Tiger Cats and into August against Toronto and Edmonton here, and then at Saskatchewan. So tough schedule for the Lions right now. First down for the Stampeders out across the 35. Quick pitch to McVeigh, who's had a chance to run tonight, taking full advantage like this play right here out near the 54 before he's out. Keith Gooch forcing Andy McVeigh out.
17. Boy, that's really what you want at a late stage of a game. You're trying to protect the lead, and you get all your guys really hustling and working. Good block by 66 Dan Ferroni. He kicks out Scott Leach. Cut by Andy McVeigh to get inside that. Just some good speed to get out around the corner on Keith Gooch. And I know he didn't want to go out of bounds to stop the clock, but nevertheless, he picks up a first down, and that's just a tremendous effort.
17 yards. The gain for the Stampeders. McVeigh gets it again. It was Leach, number 76, bringing him down that time.
Exact
Scott
same
Leach.
play. Exact same play as the last time. Scott Leach blocked by the pulling guard, Dan Ferroni. He just sticks his foot up and trips Andy McVeigh. Could raise the voice level of Andy McVeigh a little higher here.
It wasn't a tackle, was it?
Kickboxer.
No gain on the play. This is 2nd and 10 Stampeders. Just shy of midfield. Pressure on Barrett. He unloads. Looking for Smith. And Smith makes the catch. What a great catch by Brock Smith. Rick Ryan covering.
Boy, has he had a great second half, and Danny Barrett, give him full marks. Here comes James Parker. Danny Barrett knows he's going to absolutely get crunched. He lays it out far enough away from the defensive back that Brock Smith can adjust to it. Super catch.
30-yard gain in front of Robin Belanger, number 9. So they're working on Belanger, who's a substitute in that BC backfield.
I remember Anthony Drawhorn was hurt and twisted the knee, and he went out, so Robin Belanger in, and he gets burned by Brock Smith.
3-minute warning is up on the field. The Calgary Stampeders lead by 5 and threaten to add to that total late in the final quarter in Vancouver. Stampeders have a shot. They lead by 5. They can add more here with a first down inside the BC 30.
Well, Larry Donovan must wonder what the heck is wrong with his team. You know, the defense has not been able to handle the Calgary Stampeders in the 4th quarter. Traditionally a bad quarter for the Stamps, but the Stampeders credit. Now it's up to Danny Barrett to, you know, keep it on the ground, run the clock down, and the worst thing that can happen is to have Mark McLaughlin come in and try and give you an 8-point lead. Of course, that scenario sets up BC having to score a touchdown with a 2-point convert to tie. So a lot of good things can happen for Danny Barrett and his offense if they stay conservative now and just either grind it in for a touchdown or set up the field goal.
On first down, Tim Petros finds a big hole. Petros looks to the end zone, stopped at the 10. Alondra Johnson made the stop on Petros, so they've got 2 Canadian runners in that Stampeder backfield right now.
Nice job along that right side, too, with Tom Spallettini and Leo Blanchard. They just cave everybody down, and that allows Tim Petros to cut back lane against the grain, and what a great run, and the Stampeders give them full marks. They have really answered the challenge here in the 4th quarter against an extremely tough defense.
First down and goal to go. Stampeders at the 10. This is Townsend. Townsend gets near the 5.
Well, the Calgary Stampeders are getting such tremendous blocks at the point of attack. Once again, another good block by Tim Petros. Leo Blanchard along the right side. And boy, they are just nullifying any penetration by the BC Lion defense. There you see the defensive end, Walter Ballard, take the inside route. Blanchard caves him down, and that allows Townsend to get to the outside with some pretty good running room.
2:02 remaining. The Stampeders lead it 25-20. Second down Calgary at the BC 6. Petros had nowhere to go. Gino Mingo, number 91 for the Lions.
Just one time I would like to see Danny Barrett fake that handoff up to Petros and bootleg it around the end himself.
We may not see it tonight.
Well, no, we won't see it now, but watch here on the fake. Now, if he just keeps it, he could probably waltz in. Nevertheless, they do the right thing. They keep it on the ground, the clock keeps going, and they set up a field goal attempt for Mark McLaughlin. Boy, oh boy, they have not beaten themselves tonight, which has been the key. Only 1 turnover. Interception by Marcus Thomas early in the 1st quarter.
McLaughlin has had a good night. Missed a long one. 51-yarder. Gets that one with no problem at all. And it is the Calgary Stampeders in front of the Lions. 8 points is the margin of the ball game right now.
Good job by Mark McLaughlin. I think the key for him was the field goal he hit in the 3rd quarter. That gave them the lead 22-20 after his team had picked up 3 or 4 first downs to get into scoring position. And now, of course, another field goal really puts the screws to the BC Lions as they trail by 8. Larry Donovan must be extremely frustrated. He knows he's got a good team. I mean, it's as simple as that. They're just not playing very well.
Well, they're not playing very well, particularly in the second half tonight. Hot first quarter with a couple of touchdowns.
Well, it's apparent as you watch this game that the team that is more hungry is the Calgary Stampeders. I mean, they are getting up off the ground a little quicker. The offensive line is dominating the BC front four, and boy, you give Calgary full marks. They have earned this lead, and if they can hang on to the victory.
Darrell Wallace and Tony Cherry back for the kickoff. This is Wallace on the return. He hits the 35, out to the 45. Jim Yock led the tacklers for the Stampeders that time. So Matthew Dunnigan has a minute and a half to work with. He needs the touchdown, and he needs a 2-point conversion just to tie.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if he did it. I mean, no, Matt's had not had a great night, but boy, one series, he can get this game back in order in a hurry.
Keeps it short. Big hit at the 50. Bernell Quinn applying the hits. Darrell Wallace. Landry was also there.
Landry's been everywhere tonight. He's lost the name off his back. He's got his name on his shoes. I mean, he has done it all.
Here's Dunnigan. And Cherry can't hang on 2nd and 5.
And let me tell you, that drop pass is the result of all the big hits the Stampeders have put on the BC Lions tonight. Now, he saw Kenny Ford and Doug Landry coming and took his eye off the ball, and oh boy, those hits wear you out. And the Calgary Stampeders are known as one of the most physical teams in the Canadian Football League.
So here you have it, folks. 3rd and 5. One last chance for the Lions if they don't get a first down. They need the first down. They must have it on this play. 1:22 to play. Third and 5, Dunnigan. And tipped away by the Calgary Stampeders. Hopkins, he might rate as the star of the game. What do you think?
Well, you know, it only seems fitting that Ronnie Hopkins and a cornerback would make the final big play of the night, I suspect. He had the great kickoff return, a nice interception, a great knockdown on David Williams in the end zone to save a touchdown, and now another knockdown right here. And boy, he had that play read perfectly. Once again, a knockdown on David Williams. And boy, you have to give a tip of the hat to the Calgary Stampeders. They have certainly earned this victory.
.117 to go. The Stampeders take over on downs. And Larry Kuharek has lost some close ones this year.
No, he will not smile, breathe a sigh of relief, all of the above, until that final gun goes off, because he remembers what happened to him in Saskatchewan this year when they had a comfortable lead late in the 4th quarter and saw the Saskatchewan Roughriders score 17 points in less than 2 minutes to beat them.
Barrett trying to run out the clock with a pitch to Petros. Petros steams his way across the 45. Stopped by Alondra Johnson. 1:12 on the clock. Stampeders with a big shot in the arm from this performance tonight. On the verge of their first victory of 1989. Next week for Calgary, a date with the Ottawa Roughriders. Next week on our TSN game of the week, the Rough Riders and the Blue Bombers live from Winnipeg Stadium Wednesday night. Nowhere to go for Petros that time, so they'll flip to 3rd down. Still some time remaining for the Lions. They might get one more kick at it with 50 seconds on the clock.
Well, Brent Maddich now. BC Lions exercise their timeout, which will stop the clock. Brent Maddich now, boy, all he wants to, well, you know, like single point's not bad either, is it?
No, single point might be all right. that makes it a 9-point advantage.
Single point would be great. He's at the 45-yard line, so well within his range to get it.
Boomed a 72-yarder once this year.
So you're saying he has the ability to do it. Whether he does is another story.
Long way to go. Brent Maddich standing at his 52. He may get a shot at the single anyway. Out to the 5.
Well, I think they'd be just as happy with that result.
Wallace bobbled it, but got out to the 5-yard line. That makes for a long way to go for Matt Dunnigan. 38 seconds on the clock. But the Lions will give it a try.
I don't like their chances with 38 seconds to go. 105 yards separating them from a possible touchdown and a 2-point conversion.
Dunnigan steps up, looks long for Williams.
He's got him. He's got him.
Flag down. 29 seconds. Just about a perfect pass.
Well, Ronnie Hopkins, who's had such a great night, really, I can't believe that he would let David Williams get in behind him, but Williams with that great stride down the sidelines, and we'll hear the call from Jacques Decarie, but we know what it is, interference on Ronnie Hopkins.
Forward pass interference. Calgary number 2. First down.
29 seconds still remain, plenty of time.
Here's Dunnigan. Looks long once more. Home run for Williams once more. Touchdown! My gosh. Do you believe in miracles? I can't help but feel for Larry Kuharek at this particular moment in time.
Well, I mean, his heart has to be in his throat. Now, what they have to do is now you see, they're going to send David Williams off. Now, I don't know, the trainer came on the field. Technically, when the trainer comes on, David Williams is supposed to leave the field. I think that's what the official is saying, that he has to leave the game.
So your best receiver is not going to be part of this play because he was shaken up.
No question
getting the
about
Lions to the end zone.
The trainer of the BC Lions was coming down into the end zone, and David Williams has to leave, so you lose your big threat. A couple of touchdowns tonight.
So here's the situation. The Lions can force overtime with a 2-point conversion here. Dunnigan under pressure, gets away. Dunnigan still on his feet, can't do it by himself. The Stampeders hang on. No flags down. Kent Warnock got through to finally bring down Matt Dunnigan. Great finish. A great finish at BC Place tonight. 25 seconds still remaining. I wonder what Kuharek was thinking.
Well, Larry Kuharek, you have to be happy for him. Wow, I mean, can they make it any closer? Once again, we're going to go back and have a look at that David Williams touchdown, his second of the game. And, you know, he is so tough in one-on-one because Ronnie Hopkins is all over him. But at 6'4", once again, the leaping ability comes into play. He screens off Hopkins, makes an outstanding catch. Well, I mean, that is great coverage by Hopkins. He just can't get underneath Williams, and he goes up. Makes the hard ones look easy, doesn't he, John? But the 2-pointer, good pressure from the Stampeder front four. And finally, number 93, Kent Warnock, will come up with a huge play.
They did.
And they sack Dunnigan, and of course now still hold a 2-point lead. The Calgary Stampeders have called a timeout. They know what the BC Lions are going to do, obviously an onside kick, and Calgary's head coach Larry Kuharek would like to talk it over.
Saskatchewan had a successful onside kick against Calgary. In the game that Calgary, I don't want to jinx.
Are you trying to jinx them here or what?
But
do you not like Larry Kuharek or what?
No, I'm feeling for him right now. 25 seconds to go. If the Lions get the football, 2 first downs, they get a quick crack at Lou Pasaglia for the winning field goal at 28-26.
Okay, sounds good.
I don't think we can write that one into the script. You really think we could?
25 seconds, yes, you can.
Short kick. Stampeders have the ball.
Well, it didn't travel 10 yards either, so, I mean, they should throw a flag on that one. It's got to travel 10. The fat lady can sing, I think.
Is Larry smiling? Can Larry smile yet? Almost a grin there, Leaf.
He'll grin in about 24 seconds.
Stampeders have come from behind. They lead at 28-26. 24 seconds on the clock as Barrett wastes a little bit of time.
Larry say, let it go to 0. Like he's into it. So the Stampeders will see their record move to 1-2. The BC Lions, of course, still without a victory in 1989. And the heat will get a little more intense for Larry Donovan and his BC Lions.
Two seconds remaining. And Larry Kuharich has his first victory of 1989. Not much can change that now. Stampeders have the ball, third down. Barrett will run out the clock. The final is in. The Calgary Stampeders win at 28-26. And a happy Larry Kuharich heads to the end zone. Good finish, Pete. Enjoyed it.
It really was, John, and Ronnie Hopkins went over to see you with about a minute to go and said you're the player of the game, and oh my gosh, we almost had a close finish.
I tell you, you guys almost gave it to David Williams, but fortunately for us, we came through, and you know, you win some, you lose some. Fortunately, this time we won.
Ronnie, it was a tremendous night for cornerbacks. Usually we show cornerbacks when they get beat by wideouts. This was a great game for all four of the guys playing corner.
Yeah, no doubt. We, as a secondary, knew that if we didn't let David Williams kill us, then we had a good opportunity to win this ball game. So we based our game plan on trying to stop him. The other guys did an excellent job on their receivers, and we came out on top.
One big play inflated his statistics right at the end of the game. What did you do to take him out of their offense?
Well, what we did was try to roll up the corner on him and just chuck him on the line of scrimmage, not let him get free and do the things that he's best able to do, and it worked for us.
Ronnie Hopkins, the Foster's player of the game. Congratulations. Well done. They might sell a few tickets next week for Ottawa. It's the final, 28-26. The Calgary Stampeders in an upset beat the Lions. We'll be back.